Brad Henry, how you doing? I'll be right back. And we'll get started. What we're going to do, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, lovers and haters, we're going to check out a couple of videos of people who lived in a different kind of way. We'll have fun. We'll talk about it. We might get into some God talk, but we might not. Again, I'll be right back. Okay. Pipe down those birds. We'll get started when Dale comes over. So Dale is our little wingman here to help us play this. Hey, Brad, come on in if you want, and we'll have a talk while Dale comes in, so I can introduce you to the crew. Hey, it's Dale.
Howdy.
Hallelujah to you.
Back at you. So what do we want to look at now?
Well, we're going to look at two videos. The first one is a fellow who lives in a teepee.
A teepee.
A teepee, yeah. And he's lived in a teepee for 10 years.
Yeah.
He is a nomad. And the second one is we're going to look at a home that is 10 acres big. You ever heard of a home? You've heard of a home that was like 4,000 square feet, right? Well, this home is 10 acres.
10 acres.
It might even be 20 acres, but it's all underground.
Oh, wow.
Because it's in the hot desert. So
Okay.
let me give you the first link.
Okay.
Make sure that I'm, here we go. And hang on a second. I'm screwing up here. I'll put it in the private chat.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I see it.
I'll put the second one in the private chat right now.
I'm running through the ads.
Yeah, that's good. Arbicus.
Oop.
You know, when we first started this little channel,
Yeah.
I would get you and Arbicus mixed up
Oh, yeah.
because your comments were very similar to each other, you know.
Oh.
You were both men of faith and men of grace, and your comments, I would think, is that Dale or Arbicus? Where do I stand here? What am I looking at?
All right. It should be coming up in a second.
All right, so let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave the title of the show, Homeless? Huh? The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, there's like more than one way to scan a cat. That is, if you want to do a cat scan, right?
To scan a cat?
Yeah.
That's good. Trying to make sure my chair doesn't fart at you.
Oh, that's right, boys and girls. He's got this leather chair that makes a noise when he sits back. So anyway, this first video is this guy. He has lived as a nomad in a teepee for some 10 years or more. And he just discusses how he gets along in life, how he uses horses, and he's got a donkey as well. And how he feels pretty good, feels pretty comfortable being in touch with the land itself and with the necessities and the non-necessities. And feel free to go ahead.
Do you know if he owns the land or?
He's a nomad, so
Okay.
he does not own any land.
Hmm.
He moves every 2 weeks from campsite to campsite.
Oh, I
And
see.
sometimes he camps out on private property, private land, but he's got permission to do it.
Right.
Anyway, feel free to hit the StreamYard button and, you know, come on in, join us to talk about these things. And Dale, stand ready at the click button to put it on pause in case I have a comment. And also, I'd love to hear your comments about these things too, because I do think it's it's a pretty cool idea to see that there is more than one way to scan a cat. Um, you know, because if you have it in your little brain that you don't have a house with an asphalt roof, you know, and regular windows and a door with a lock, you know, and a, a utility bill that north of $500, then you ain't normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the hell's that all about? I mean, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Who the hell says you have to have all that stuff?
John the Baptizer was a nomad, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah. And he was a Baptist.
Yeah. Well, apparently he didn't dance then.
Right, because, you know, they don't have sex either, because Baptists know that if you have sex, it might lead to dancing, and dancing is the sin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Sean.
Hey guys, just sitting here in my farting recliner watching Michael getting ready to have some cornbread. No, I'm kidding.
You
This guy-
are also, you've got a farting recliner as well?
I do. Yep.
Hey, Dale and Sean,
and I have that in common. Yeah.
do they charge extra for farting recliners?
Did you?
If they did, I certainly wouldn't have paid extra for it. I would have got the silent type.
Yeah,
Thing
they
is
come with
annoying.
it's a side feature. It's called the farting recliner.
It is on the side. It is. Yeah.
So this guy Michael, he's awesome. I watched him yesterday. Isn't that
You
weird?
watched this guy?
I watched him yesterday, dude. I watched him actually, Ace. I seen him about 2 months ago. I love this guy, man. He's got this killer lifestyle. We think we got it going on in the city, but this guy's badass.
All right.
Yeah, that takes some skills to do, though.
he makes his own clothes and shit like that. He's like, and he cleans, he straightens out the environment before he leaves his little camp spaces and shit, and like replants like little plants and shit, so it'll grow back to better than it was. Pretty cool.
Build back better.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Cool.
Okay, go ahead and hit play.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Skills in a modern
Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
day with modern technology. This
me
is
run
my
it back.
learning tradition. Hey there, I'm Michael Ridge, and I'm blending traditional living skills in a modern day with modern technology. This is my 11th consecutive winter in a teepee. So I've been living nomadic on horseback for 10 years. I started when I was 23 years old, and when I was 21, I met a powerful elder that had been living on horses for over 30 years. When I heard this notion of living and traveling in a way that's centered around the traditional food systems, that was a click. That sounds like what I should be doing. My mule, she's a tiny little thing.
I got
Call
it.
her pea shooter. She was a gift from
This is like Dances with Wolves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
when Kevin Costner ran away from the military and started living with the Indians. Just just a half of a joke there. That's all. Sorry. Go.
from the chief of police in Enterprise, Oregon, all the way back in 2013. I've had her since the very beginning. She was the first critter I've ever owned in my nomadic travels. Hi, Takawakusan. Were you sleeping? Taka and Sindahai here are Umatilla Reservation Mustangs, and I've had them since they were babies, rounded up off the range. They were 3 months old, taken away from their mothers too early, and they grew up traveling with me in my nomadic lifestyle. And for 3 years, they traveled along my previous horses until they became my primary pack string. Horses are what allow you to make yourself available for a long time. Like, you could backpack into the mountains, but you can only carry so much. Each horse carries 180 pounds, so I could be out there for extended periods of time. That's what the horses do. They bring you to remote places for a long time. They provide your comfort on the top of a mountain.
This video is sponsored by Dylan McAster. Check out our new channel by clicking the link and be sure to subscribe.
Now this is an upgrade. And the way we
It was overwhelming, the amount of knowledge that I did not have that was being presented before me. I had never worked with horses in my entire life, and the horses that I received were also not trained, and so I was learning as well as my horses. And the wilderness of all places teaches you to do everything tight and right the first time. I'm not a purist when it comes to doing any of these things, because I'm not pretending that this is the 1800s. And so I'm going to use whatever tools are available at my disposal to do this, to get good
put it on
things done.
pause.
I love
All right. So in my addiction to futurists and futurist commentators and video guys, who make predictions. One of my favorite guys is his website. His website is called clusterfucknation.com. And he has been making the argument for years that the world is running out of easy oil, and that the whole civilization as we know it is built around oil. Without oil, we wouldn't even have computers or cars or electricity. I mean, everything is built around oil. We wouldn't have farming without oil, or mining without oil, and so forth and so on. Anyway, so he says there's plenty of evidence to see that we're running out of easy oil, and one thing leads to another. And he says it could very well be that within our lifetime we will go back to the 1800s to a great degree, and those who have all the guns, like the military and so forth, they'll have some cars and so forth. But the rest of us will be using our cars and hitching them up to horses. And we'll turn our cars into hay wagons. Anyway, so this guy is getting a head start on us. He's already living as if he's in the 1800s with a lot of modifications.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Implementing those old traditional ways into this modern way, taking wild foods, processing them, and making modern cuisines with modern flavors and styles, or taking the traditional art of brain tanning and making modern style clothes. And to me, that bridges the gap between that tradition and modern, and that I think is absolutely integral to a sustainable future in our world. Each pack horse carries 180 pounds, and that's their max weight. So the things like my books and beads and my teepee and snow shovel and snowshoes, those are winter camp items, so I have to cache them. And when it comes to the things that I do pack, it's bare necessities. So things like a water filter, camp stove, a tarp for shelter.
He says that he has to cache those things. When I first heard him, I thought he meant sell them for cash. But he must mean cache them, like store them for later.
Away. Sure.
Yeah, store them away for later and come back to get them. Love the new word, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, hit play.
It's a computer word.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's right, it is.
The cache in your in your system there.
In your desktop?
Yeah. Ready?
Okay.
A good bed, rain gear, and then the shoeing equipment so I can take care of my horse's feet as we move. I never stay in one location more than 2 weeks when I'm out traveling on my horses. It's because the stay limits in a lot of public lands are set at 2 weeks. While winter camp, I have permission from private landowners to camp, I stay a full 6 months. My whole winter camp fits into totes and barrels, and it all fits into the back of this truck that my uncle gave me last fall. And then I can park this in a safe place while I leave April, and I don't come back to it until the fall. Horses love to help, but they're terrible helpers. And so I have to set up this electric fence to keep them out of my immediate compound. And I keep that alive with a little solar fencer right there. A lot of people ask me why a teepee. And the reality is there's nothing more adaptive and suitable for exposed living that's also semi-permanent. A teepee can handle extreme winds. As the wind pushes on this connell structure, it pushes the teepee to the ground. A yurt would be comparable, except it's way more weight and way more bulk. I used to live in a 16-foot teepee, but to include other people, to have friends come and camp and spend time, it was just really cramped. This is an 18-foot teepee, and while 2 feet doesn't seem to be a whole lot, it makes a world of difference. And so a teepee is not only 18 foot around in a circle, but it's also 18 feet tall. So the teepee is made of canvas. It's made by a company named Nomadix Teepees. They're actually not very far from here in Central Oregon. Personally, I didn't want a painted teepee. This was the only teepee they had in this size, and it cost extra, but it's water treated and fire treated, and that's pretty important. You can see I got triple wall wired to where the stovepipe comes out, and that's to keep it from flaming up. The first thing I did was cut a hole in it and stitched in vinyl, and that lets enough light in to where I can actually live. One of the major upgrades that I've gone through is solar. My solar panels go to just a small 12-volt lithium battery. So it doesn't have a huge capacity, but it charges my 4 powerful battery banks. With this setup, I can charge all 4 of them in a single day. 4 of these battery banks last close to 2 weeks. I have a cell phone, I have a spotlight, I have a headlamp, I have a computer. So my solar setup only charges my battery banks, and my battery banks charge everything else. This outdoor structure is just kind of a shelter storage where I can keep my belongings. In my travels, not only do I harvest wild foods, but I gather their seeds when it's time so I can plant them. Yeah, so I keep my seeds in these barrels out here. Every camp I make gets
know what seeds those
planted
are?
in the native roots.
Say that again.
You know what seeds those are that he's holding?
Cotton?
Yeah, it looks that way, but it's actually milkweed.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
Oh, yeah.
milkweed is a very favorite of monarch butterflies. They eat that milkweed.
Yeah, we've got some next to the house here.
And they have pretty beautiful flowers. They're just kind of unusual looking flowers.
Yeah, I think they're purple, right?
Uh-huh. They
Yeah.
look kind of like a flower, a tank, if a tank were a flower and a flower were a tank. Battle hardened.
Yeah.
You still there, Sean?
Yeah, this is an awesome show. This is called Mystery Outdoor Science Theater. I love this, Ace. This is badass. I'm so glad you put this program on. This guy is a trip. I like him, man. He's like different, way different. Anyway, sorry.
Right.
He must have some money though. It sounds like. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
What is it? What is the milkweed for, Ace? What does it come from?
It's a flower. It gets about waist high, and he makes this guy makes baskets out of the milkweed.
Wow.
But the only thing I know, I have some growing in my front yard every year, just for the monarch butterflies. So you can't eat it. The sap of it is toxic. It'll make you throw up.
Right.
I don't think it'll kill you. It just makes you throw up. But it's white sap. And generally speaking, a plant that has white sap is kind of toxic. So,
Wow.
When you said,
I bet he uses that fluffy seed. See, at the end of each of those fluffy things is a brown little seed.
right.
And the fluffy stuff helps the air to catch it and help it to travel down the way. So
So this can be used for clothing and shit, right?
Yeah, he I don't think he makes clothing. He does make a little handbag out of it.
Okay.
When you mentioned he was a nomad, I immediately thought of just somebody living off the land completely, but it sounds to me like he's got some cash, I mean, in order to.
Well, he does sell some of his
equipment.
material. He does sell some of his workmanship.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's no free lunch. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I don't know that I've ever seen this particular one though. I've seen some of his other videos. So was this the first video on there or one of the first?
I don't know.
It's pretty awesome.
Anyway, there's no free lunch. So just by calling him a nomad doesn't mean anything. He probably works his ass off more than we do.
Well, no, I was just surprised by the integration of the technology and whatnot. Because when you first mentioned he was a nomad, it's just in my brain. I thought of somebody that just lived out in the wilderness, off the land. He had a teepee, and he would just hunt and fish and chop wood and whatever, and that was it. Like no means of trade other than whatever animals animal skins or whatever. But yeah, he is integrating modern stuff into his lifestyle there. So yeah, I get it. Go.
Yes, go.
Lilies, trees, berries, and nuts and fruits. Human beings are actually an integral aspect of a functioning ecosystem. So much of these wild foods that are all around us here actually thrive with harvest. And a lot of these foods that I interact with throughout my travel season, they are nothing like domestic foods. Say the wild carrot. When I was introduced to the wild carrot out here, it was magic that happened. Not only was it something I had never known about before, but it was an incredible abundance, and you could eat it fresh right out of the ground. It's 30 years old before it's ready to harvest. And so that traditional way of living was a selfless act in itself, because all the food that you would harvest was planted there by your ancestors. This is a custom tool that was made for me, and it's made up of 2 plow discs that a farmer would use to plow a field. And essentially this is just a tool for me to work hides. I have enough hides where people can come in periodically and can deer skins with me. So it's just my little outdoor setup. So far this year, I've made a fresh pair of buckskin pants. That's these. I just really love making things, and I've gotten really good at it over time. So I like sharing that. I've been fan funded for a long time. The largest expense that I have by far is the horses' feed through the winter time. Hay prices have gone up a lot. When fall comes, I generally have a fundraiser. It hasn't been until recently where short form content and social media has been actually paying a decent amount for the videos I've been creating. So if it continues on this route, I may not have to fundraise at all anymore. My very first winter was with an open fire. When it's just you, it's hard to balance keeping a fire and warmth maintained while also staying busy, leaving and coming back. You don't want to leave a fire unattended. And so the wood stove has been a major upgrade. There's a whole inside shelter inside the teepee liner, which is crucial to holding the heat inside here. I literally stitch every air gap to trap the heat in here. You can see I literally poked a hole in my canvas tarp because on the other side, there's a rope that this liner is tied to. So there's a rope behind here that wraps around every teepee pole. And so this liner has to go through my tarp, around this rope, and back through so it will shed water. All the panniers that I pack the horses up with when I'm out traveling with my horses in winter camp become storage and shelving all around the teepee. So these are all the boxes that I use to carry my belongings when on the horses. Window is definitely like the workstation. That's where I can set up a chair and work and do all kinds of stuff. So I've been working on a natural fiber basket. This is a combination of dogbane, which is a plant that grows along the rivers here. You can see that pretty red fiber, and then milkweed, which is one of the monarch butterflies' host plant. Very beautiful, very cool. This is one thing that I'm giving away right now, which is a buckskin jacket. If you were to buy this, it would be at least $3,000. It'd be very expensive. It took 4 fully full-size deer skins to make this. I don't sell any of my crafts or stuff that I make. I could make a lot of money, but I'd prefer to give those things away to those that have been generous in my journey. I have preserves and foods that I've harvested. These are a native chestnut called chinkapin. They're really quite similar to hazelnuts. They're very delicious, and they're also seeds ready to plant. This is a Klamath plum sauce. This is an endemic species of plum that I processed this year, cooked down and made into sauces, which are like really good, sweet or savory. It makes an excellent barbecue sauce or jerky marinade. I infused huckleberries into 5 pounds of honey and made this mead. I don't really drink a whole lot of alcohol, but that is a delicacy. This looks like a normal bed that you would have in your home, but this is actually a camp bed. That's an inflatable mattress, and it has this like memory foam on top. It's an inflatable mattress, and because of that layer of memory foam, it acts like a normal mattress, and it's so comfortable. I made this backpack quite a few years ago. One of my friends beaded all my animals' faces on there for me. I also have this medicine root, which I regularly drink as a tea, but this medicine root is over 200 years old. Even if I feel a little tickle in my throat coming on, I'll drink some tea, and I've rarely been sick. And then of course, some of the equipment that I travel with, I have to store in here, stuff that can't endure freezing weather. But then of course, I got really good books and natural medicines people have sent me over the years that I use periodically. It's fun to participate in those stories that used to just play out on the land here. It's fun to tan hides in the same place where hides have been traditionally tanned since the beginning, and to practice the same techniques. It's almost like an ode or a vigil to those stories.
Thank you for watching this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button.
Tan me hide when I'm dead, Fred. Tan me hide when I'm dead.
I haven't heard that song in a long time.
Yeah. Let's see. What was that one? That's that one. Let me pull this one up.
God, I love shows like this, man. Fuck. He's actually living. You know what I mean, dude?
Mm-hmm.
He's not. He's just constantly living, bro. It's not like a. I fucking love that.
Okay, now this one, this little episode is about a guy who bought some 20 or 30 acres out in the desert. He thought he was going to grow fruit trees like oranges, but it was so friggin' hot that the only thing he could think to do was dig a hole, a big deep hole in the ground to get out of the heat. And this was in 1906, 30 years before the air conditioner ever showed up in the world. Willis Carrier, a man named Willis Carrier, invented the air conditioner along about 1930 or 1940. So this is long before that. So he started digging a hole just to get out of the heat. Turns out he spent 20 or 30 or 40 years digging so many holes that he has kind of like an underground city all for himself, with bedrooms and growing places and fish pond and everything down in the ground. But it's not cave like, because he every so often he digs a hole up to the top to let in plenty of light, and it's pretty cool. And again, this one shows you that there's more than one way to scan a cat. And if you think you're homeless, well, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So stop your bitching and get your pick and shovel and start digging.
Whoa.
There you go.
Okay, hit play.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Fresno was a desert. You know, we're a big agricultural area now because it's been so developed, but originally Fresno was basically a desert. So it gets very hot here. It's not the most fun place to live in the summertime. Baldassar Forestier excavated about 20 acres underground. So he did this for 40 years. He had figured something out here that was a really smart way to live. So that's what this first area was really about, was the motivation of getting out of the heat.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
It wasn't until later on that he started to get this inspiration of, this is actually a really good way to live, and I can grow my trees down here, and I can create this amazing home for myself down here.
It's amazing.
Oh, you can turn it up here, perfect. So there's some above ground and some underground, I guess. Probably people who have passed this, you really don't know there's anything here.
They have no idea. They have no idea what it is.
There's lots of openings. These
Yes.
are all underground, acres and acres of hidden bedrooms.
Yes. Yeah, they're just different rooms, passageways, courtyards. So, I mean, all types of rooms. I mean, we can see right over here, that's that first tree coming down the stairs. This one's right above the water well. So it just, it keeps going. The one where you see right here with all the trees coming out, that's the courtyard that has the carob and the loquat. So you can see that growing there. The courtyard with the bathtub. I mean, it's a whole other world down there. I kind of like that it's a hidden gem and that you have to want to find it And, you know, here it is existing right off of a major highway. And yeah, people often just drive right past it. This area specifically is known as Highway City because it's right off of our major Highway 99. So you can see it's really developed into a lot, you know, gas stations, liquor stores, tire places, and then there's us.
This area is hot, it's dry.
It is, yes, very, very hot. Over 100 degrees Fahrenheit almost every day in the summertime. So,
What state is that in again, Ace?
Fresno, California.
Okay, Fresno. Okay. Thank you.
And Fresno does not mean anything like freeze.
Yeah, I used to
It's
drive
freeze.
up and down. I used to drive up and down that 99 highway.
Sounds like freeze no.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
so it gets very intense with the heat. So yeah, which is actually what inspired Baldassar Forestier to create this place, was to get out of that heat.
Okay, so he bought land.
Yes, so he came to Fresno from Sicily in the early 1900s with the idea that he wanted to grow citrus here. He grew up around citrus. His father taught him how to grow citrus, and Fresno was such a booming agricultural area at the time. So he came to Fresno to buy that land, thinking he had got this amazing deal, but it turned out that the land was filled with a sedimentary rock called hardpan, and you cannot grow citrus in that. And he had never heard of hardpan before, so this really came as a shock to him that he had spent all of his money on a piece of land that was basically useless to him.
He got screwed.
He got screwed. The lawyer said, "Sign here, son."
Yeah. But then he turned it around and made something cool out of
Right. There's more than one way to scan a cat.
it. Yeah.
If you must get a CAT scan.
Yeah.
If there's water on the carpet, it's there for a reason. Stop your bitching and start your digging. And drop that linen. Stop that grinning. Sorry.
I mean, what was it? Is this?
Well, no, this is actually the topsoil, which is why he wasn't aware that that's what he was getting. There were several inches of this good topsoil, so he thought he had this great piece of land. This was an up-and-coming area for farmers, so he was very excited. The hardpan was a surprise, and it's a few inches beneath the topsoil. So when he first started creating it, these stairs right here, it was actually a ramp that he would use to push wheelbarrows of earth up to ground level. He made it into stairs later on. So what this started as is just a way to get out of the heat. Because once he realized that he was not going to be able to grow citrus on his own land, he had to start hiring himself out as a laborer. And so he's working all day in the hot sun, mostly digging ditches for irrigation canals. So he's miserable. He wants a cool place to come home to. And so he started thinking back to Sicily and how wine cellars were so common there. So that's what it started as, is just a single cellar where he could move his bed underground and cool off.
So this was all by hand?
All by hand. Pickaxes, shovels, wheelbarrows, and his own strength. He was doing it himself. So he's working all day as a farm laborer, and then he's coming home and working on this in the evening. And he does that for about 20 years. By the time he's around 40 years old, though, he's actually producing enough fruit on his land that he's able to sell it and make his living that way. And the reason he's able to get to that point is because he was able to successfully figure out how to grow his fruit trees underground.
Again, I love to tell this, that farmers are into delayed gratification, and paper pushers are into instant gratification. And when the paper pusher loses his job, oh my God, it requires a whole new way of thinking to get along. So if you're in the mortgage business, the stock market business, the real estate business, and you find yourself as a paper pusher, unemployed, there's more than one way to scan a cat. Hit go.
So this room, we're actually surrounded by the hardpan itself. We have it in its natural form, but also where he's broken it out into bricks, essentially. and use that to reinforce the walls. So he's not going out and buying stones or buying bricks. He's just using that hardpan that his land was made from. This is the natural hardpan, this kind of reddish color.
It's not clay.
No, it's not clay.
Yeah.
And so here you can see where he's broken it down into stones and then set it back up again.
But that's hardpan that becomes stone. It's so hard.
Yes, yes.
It's that hard. Okay.
Yes, I have heard that it's the third hardest sedimentary rock in the world. So it's actually very common in Fresno. Most Fresnans have some hardpan in their backyards, but they usually have a few inches of it. And most people use dynamite to get past it. He had 3 to 5 feet of hardpan. So in the beginning, it must have seemed just endless. But eventually, after digging through it, he did find, okay, there is an end to it at some point, and that's when he discovered that he could make these rooms down here.
Hey, it's Costco.
A lot of it was experimenting. He's getting past that 3 to 5 feet of hardpan. He's finding a soil that he thinks could be nutrient rich for the trees. So he starts out just by planting. This is actually one of the first trees that he planted in the early 1900s. He starts out by just making a planter for it, putting a skylight in because of course the tree needs sun, and seeing if it will grow. And a lot of his early trees, you can see him experimenting with the sizes and the shapes of the skylight because he wanted to see how much sun he needed to let in that they could thrive, but he also doesn't want to take away from this cool earth environment that he's created for himself. And it seems to be a really great environment for the trees because most citrus trees in this area have a lifespan of about 50 years, and ours are over 100. But they're protected from what a lot of the citrus trees in the area deal with, which is the frost and the intense heat.
Exactly, you feel that right away when you are down here.
10 to 15 degree drop.
And that's
It's
not only-
significant.
it's not only for humans, but for plants too, right?
Exactly. Yes, it's very comfortable for them. Yeah, I mean, you can see these oranges. I mean, this is coming from a tree that was planted in 1906. You can see this is the natural hardpan, and then he would take the pickaxe and he would break it into these chunks, and then he would use it. And in the beginning, using as little cement as possible to secure them, because once again, this man does not have a lot of money. He tries to just put a little bit to keep them together there.
Well, he certainly knew what he was doing.
You can definitely see the inspiration from his upbringing. You were asking about collapses before. You can see everything has these arches. Growing up in Sicily, he would have seen that style of architecture and knew that that would last for hundreds of years. So,
like bulbs from Romans on.
Exactly. You can see that inspiration from the catacombs. We know he did spend some time in Rome in his early 20s before coming to the United States. So he's definitely drawing upon that. But really a lot of this is trial and error and him figuring out how to do it because he was not formally educated as an architect or an engineer.
So architecturally, he knew what he was doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So this actually is where after he decided he was going to put this tree in here, he moved in here.
So this was his like second bedroom.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Oh wow.
So you can see even more so that he's wanting to cool off even more, so you make it more enclosed. He's put a couple of benches in here for himself. And over here we have his first kitchen underground. So this was the pipe for his wood burning stove. He would have had an ice box right under here. So very simple, but it was all he needed. It was just to get out of that heat.
Can you imagine how long it would have taken with hand tools to dig all
Well, this area right here, he did pretty quickly, actually. It seems like an overwhelming task, but the goal was to get out of the heat in the summer of 1906. And that's when he started, was July of 1906. And by the end of that year, this area was already created.
Was that a particularly hot year or just his first?
It was. It was his first summer here, but it also was a record-breaking heat.
Do you know how hot it got?
115, I believe. So he was just miserable in it and decided he was going to go underground. To the skylight is interesting. You'll notice it's more cone-shaped to put the Venturi effect into place because you have the kitchen with the wood-burning stove. This is a hotter room. So to keep it cooler, we're putting that Venturi effect there.
And Venturi effect is what it's funneling. Is it a funneling effect? So it has to be a narrow, what do you have to do?
Yeah, so it has to be more narrow at the top. So it sucks the hot air out and it pushes the cool air down. So you can really feel the breeze even in this area. He really had an amazing mind to think of what problems he was going to deal with and finding ways to solve them.
So he probably wasn't using any sophisticated word to word it, but this was like bioclimatism or all these fancy things we're talking about these days.
A man very much ahead of his time. So I showed you his early home. In the 1930s, he moved into this home, which we consider his upgraded living quarters, his new digs. And you can really see at this point, in the 1930s, he's been working down here for 20 plus years. So he's really making a comfortable home for himself. So this is his dining room.
Look at that table.
It actually doubles as a planter. So he actually had a dwarf orange tree growing out of the center. So it's decorative, but also you have fresh fruit right there at your table.
So he kept digging, and as if he found a room he liked, and he thought, well, this would make it a good dining room.
Yes.
Like maybe he just kept going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think he would take a lot of what he'd be inspired by and then create with that. And, you know, for a creative person, it provides a lot of freedom once he became comfortable with the medium that he was working with. You know, he'd get to an area and be like, let's turn this into this. We have the kitchen over here. So this is where he moved his ice box and the wood burning stove. He brought a radio in at this point. He did like listening to the radio.
So he has some conventional furniture down here, right?
He does start to get conventional furniture, yes.
I used to have an ice box like that.
With real ice?
No, it was the first home I bought. The stairway going down to the basement. It was right under the stairway. It looked just like that, but it wasn't operational as far as I know. We just used it as a little cupboard, you know. It's just surprising to see that. Looks just like it.
Yeah, thoroughly modern conveniences. Oh yeah, icebox.
Yeah.
So he has some conventional furniture down here, right?
He does start to get conventional furniture, yes. He had his wood burning stove.
Okay.
He had his ice box. And we just saw his dining room, but he also had, I like to think of it as a breakfast nook. You know, he just has his little table here, a bench next to it. So if he wanted to sit down and have his breakfast right there, nice and easy, straight from the stove to the table. He's setting up areas for, you know, the pantry, sacks of flour or potatoes, more shelving in here. So you can see it definitely is an upgraded kitchen from that first one we saw, much more spacious.
All connected. I mean, you see it.
Yes. Yes. It's a bit of a maze. It is all connected in some way. It's easy to get turned around in it.
And there's always light coming down.
Yes.
You see that even here, there's always
natural light.
Always. Because
well, he wasn't looking to live in a cave. You know, he still wanted that bright, airy environment, which is why for a while there were stories of him being this mole man living underground. As you can see, this is not a mole man environment. He was not living in a cave. He was just creating a unique home underground. But he clearly liked his light and airy spaces, I think. Do you want to see his bedrooms?
Put it on pause. So how would you like to be known in your town as the mole man?
Mole man, yeah.
That would throw fear into the hearts of little children. Don't go over there on that property. The mole man lives there.
Yeah. Or it might draw attention, though. Ooh, let's go. Let's go see what the mole man's up. We had a haunted house a couple blocks away. When we were kids, we'd go check it out and see if we could find anything spooky. And we never saw anything, but it was known as being a haunted house. Well, you know, I don't know.
But this house is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
That's a double entendre.
Oh, there you go. I missed it, but yeah, I get it now. Yeah, 15 degrees.
And it covers
good.
10 or 20 acres.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right.
It's that big. Jeez.
And that place is hot as hell in the summer.
And that's a double entendre.
There you
go. But yeah, I think I think anybody would love to live here and go, cool, this is my home. Coming over for dinner.
Is it kind of a museum now, Ace? Pretty much.
It looks that way. Yeah, she looks like she charges money to come look at it.
Wow.
She might live there. Okay, hit play.
That. So wasn't he lived alone, but he has more than one bedroom?
He does, yes, for the different times of year. So this is the summer bedroom. So we have this nice big window, so he would be able to have a breeze come in here. And even stepping in here right now, it's noticeably cooler than where we just were. Where you're going into now is his winter bedroom, which you can see it's much more
Now,
enclosed.
wait a minute. That window, but this whole area is still underground.
Yes.
So there must be a big skylight or something just
Right.
outside
In
this
this
window.
this patio has a totally big skylight.
Right. Okay.
And it's
All right.
not our normal skylight. There's no glass on top. It just
Right,
goes up to the
right,
sky.
Right. It's like a chimney or a big
Mhm.
giant chimney. Okay. All right.
Where you're going into now is his winter bedroom, which you can see it's much more enclosed. He learned that hardpan can work as a natural insulator. So he actually put a small fireplace in this room, and he would be able to close off this area and stay warm. So I think this is one of the few areas that you would actually describe as more cave-like, but that's because he's thinking of the winter time. And it does get fairly cold down here in the winter. We have more damp winters, not snow, but a fogginess to the air, a dampness in the air. So I think this is where he was really looking at closing himself in, lighting a fire, and still being comfortable in here.
How was he able to have a fireplace? I don't see a flue.
It's in the wall. And in fact, it is back to back with another fireplace in the room on the other side of this. They share a flue.
So there was no danger of smoke?
It was ventilated.
Okay.
Now, once again, maybe he had some trial and error with that, but as we've seen, he's a pretty brilliant man.
And what's this?
So this is one of his peak holes. So I mentioned before, Baldassar did not have a fence surrounding the property. And there were a lot of people that were very curious about what he was creating. And very often Baldassar would like to know who was here before he went out to see them. So just like today, so many of us have our little camera on our doorbell, he would set up peek holes. So if he heard someone walking around, he could just take a look and see who was coming in. And they're very often pointed down because they're actually pointed at people's feet. We have to think farming community in the 1930s, 1940s, most people living in this area were probably pretty identifiable by their shoes. And so this one specifically was aimed at what he considered his front door.
Let's try to find the other side of that.
So it's actually in here.
Oh.
Right there.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Get cable-free live TV made easy without the cords or hassle. YouTube TV. Terms apply. Cancel anytime.
This was a waterway?
So this was his fish pond, because the challenge with fish is keeping them fresh, right? And he's working with an ice box. So, you know, keeping fish for a little while might be a little challenging. So instead, he'd bring them back here after fishing. He would keep them alive until he was ready to eat them and just catch them out of his pond.
Hey, when we were kids, my grandpa had a cottage up north in northern Michigan on a lake. And he had a cage, an underwater cage right next to the dock. And whenever we'd go up there, we'd check and see if he had any pike that were in there.
Mm-hmm.
So he did the same thing. He'd catch fish, but he didn't always eat them right away. He'd put them in, throw them in the cage so they'd stay alive for I don't know how long, but yeah. That just reminded me of that. That's good. Catch a fish, bring them home, and keep them alive till you're ready to eat them. Yeah, good idea.
Yes. And this is also where he would take his baths. So that is his bathtub here. It's a nice spot for a bath.
Yeah. To carve the shelter for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is the carob tree. So that was common in the part of Sicily that he was from, in Fulari. They had lots of carob trees. And then we also have loquat trees out here.
The mole man.
So I think since this is his living quarters, he's thinking of those fruits that maybe he grew up with as a child, but he is not finding in this area too much, so he's bringing those in. I also like to think of these as kind of snack food trees because they all produce very small fruits that are easy to have a handful of them and just pop them in your mouth. So, you know, little snacking area.
It's really nice. I love it. It's just like it has a little view as well.
Yes. You have a beautiful view everywhere. And in here, he even started to incorporate even more of a creative side of his. There are paintings on the walls in here. And these are similar to trees from the part of Sicily where he grew up. And at one time, this went all the way across the bed. It's unfortunately has fallen away over the years, but underneath it, we can see his pick marks where he carved away at this wall. So how he would create each room really depended on the actual stone that he was hitting at the time. So there were some areas that he's building up with the stonework of the hard pan, but other areas he would find a really tough spot of hard pan and he just decided, you know what, this is secure on its own, I'm just going to shape it.
Right, so he knew that. He had some sort of instinctual knowledge, or he had no training as a technical architect or something?
None at all. We actually think he had about a 4th grade formal education. So all of this is him learning as he goes, teaching himself how to do this. So yes, I think there was just something in him that he was a brilliant man that was able to figure out how to do this. And I'm sure he, you know, made a lot of mistakes along the way to get there, but he kept going and he figured out the best way to create it.
Was probably super satisfactory to just create this whole rich world that is super livable out of just nothing.
Yes.
Dirt, basically.
Exactly, especially once he figured out how to do it. I mean, there must have been so much freedom in being able to realize I have this skill, I can develop this skill, I can make whatever kind of home I want to. That's really an amazing feeling to feel like the sky's the limit here.
Is all this hard pan?
Sky's the limit.
This is all hard pan. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
In a Roman arch or something,
Yes.
right?
And that was the other thing. He actually made his own forms to create these arches so perfectly.
Amazing. I mean, that's the kind of thing that normally you need training to build an arch.
Yes,
Right?
exactly. Yes. That's not a simple thing to make a Roman arch. No. But he was able to figure out how to do that. And clearly they've been done correctly because they're holding up after all this time.
Yeah.
And you can see more conventional furniture in here. So he did bring in a standard wood table and chairs. You don't see that too much around here. But once again, he was having visitors. So he's making a parlor room for himself, a place to have visitors come in.
There's nobody around here that was doing this, right?
No, no one else around here was doing this. And living on his own too. I mean, he was a bachelor, and so he could just make his home however he wanted it.
Oh,
No,
that's
it
a
seems like
clever
this house
idea.
is really too big for a
Yeah, there
bachelor.
you go.
It is,
Was he
yes.
hoping other people would move in, or
I think
creating a village.
Sorry about that. I was.
Okay, back it up just 1 minute so we can hear those wonderful words again.
Yeah.
no, no one else around here was doing this. And living on his own too. I mean, he was a bachelor, and so he could just make his home however he wanted it.
Whoa.
There it is.
Deep. Shit. What freedom.
More than one way to scan a cat.
I love that.
Ready?
Go ahead.
No, it seems like this house is really too big for a bachelor. Like
It is,
was he
yes.
hoping other people would move in, or
I
was he
think
creating a village.
I think at some point he did have the thought that he'd like to have a wife.
Yeah.
At some point, like I said, he had some girlfriends over the years, so I think there might have been a hope at one point. He was also very close with his brother's family. Giuseppe would bring his children down here on a regular basis. They would have dinner here together. So it wasn't just him by himself here. There was family, and he wanted space for that family.
So what percentage of the whole underground world we've seen so far?
So far, I've probably taken you through about 1.5 acres of it. So, well, today we have about 4 acres left. Yeah, but he had about 20 acres by the time he passed away. So it was quite
Shit,
expensive.
man.
Today, where Highway 99 is, today he
Built
had
a
tunnels.
mansion. It's like a
Yeah.
mansion underground, buddy. This is a trip. She goes, we got 4 acres to go, and there's 17 more after that. Oh my God. That's amazing.
All the way out there. Yeah, some of the neighborhoods in this area do still have a room or two of his in their yards. So some of them do still exist. They're not connected to any of our tunnels anymore, but some of them are out there.
Should we keep going?
Yeah, I can show you more. It goes further underground.
Let's keep going.
Get away!
Thank you, Mark. Take action with American Express Business Platinum.
Now watch your heads with this one. The ceiling slopes down really sharply.
So we're going down.
We're going further underground, yes.
Why?
Because of course, as you go further underground, it gets even cooler. So on those days when it's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit up at ground level, you come down here and we have about a 25-degree drop. So it's very comfortable down here even in the summertime.
So 25 degrees Fahrenheit cooler down here.
Yes. And so at this point, we're about 22 feet below ground level.
But you don't feel like you're underground. You don't feel like you're further underground.
No, it doesn't. It's still so open. Yes. And you can feel a little more moisture in the air down here, but for the most part, yes, still very open.
Hey,
You can still
Ace,
feel a breeze come through.
I got a question. Can we do this sometime? There's the largest cave ever in the world underground in Vietnam that they discovered. Have you ever seen that before?
I have not.
Okay, it has a river running through it and all this shit, and it was just discovered like less than 20 years ago, and it's the largest underground cave ever. And I was wondering if maybe you'd be interested in watching that sometime. It's really amazing, and it's a National Geographic thing.
Oh yeah, are you a member of the National Geographic Society?
No, I'm a nobody here on
I'm
planet
a
Hollywood.
member. I'm a member of the National Geographic Society. I put that on my resume all the time.
Well, I'm just saying I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody here on planet Hollywood. But anyway, it's a cool cave, and it goes from 25 miles or something completely underground, and it's got waterfalls and rivers and stuff in it, and it's just beautiful.
Mhm.
Anyway, I just wanted to throw that at you. I don't know if you ever want to, if that's something you might be interested in the future. But this gave me the idea because I'm thinking this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Are you really a member of the National Geographic Society, Ace?
Do you know how you become a member? You just subscribe to their magazine, because you can't subscribe to the magazine. You have to become a member of the National Geographic Society for $30 a year, and then you get the magazine
For free. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But then you can say that you're a member of the National Geographic Society.
Oh God!
And then you can put it on your resume. I am a member of the National Geographic Society.
Wow.
See, just like getting an ACE theological certificate.
So Ace, I do have a question. Did he ever run water through the bottom of this thing? Are they going to show that or something?
He had a bathtub,
right?
And it had a fish pond.
Wow, it's just amazing.
Ready to go?
Yeah, go.
He was able to keep the earth from kind of tumbling in by or it's just the hard pan naturally does that, or he was bracing as they went?
It depends. So some areas it was just the hard pan naturally doing it, because sometimes he would find a piece of hard pan that he could just not get through. And so he took that as a sign that is fine on its own. He did not need to alter it. But if he could break through it, then he saw that as an area that would need some extra structural support. So that's where he's putting in his stonework.
So he realized that maybe where he dug, this other level is what? How far down?
Between 10 and 12 feet, depending on where you are.
Okay, so he started with 10 and 12 feet down, and then he thought, if I go a little lower, I can get something cooler.
So this was later on. Okay. This is after he's been doing it for a few decades. But yes, he's realizing if he goes further underground, it's going to be cooler. And also, I think at this point, he just wanted to challenge himself. And I see that also in the tree that he planted down here. This tree at one time had 7 different types of citrus growing on it. So I really see this as he's reached the point in his working down here that he's trying to come up with something new and exciting for him to figure out.
Wait a minute. One tree with 7 types of citrus, or with the one planter?
7 types of citrus.
Not on
out of one
one.
tree. What you have to do
What?
is you have to graft in other
Oh,
citrus branches.
okay, I got it.
And then as long as it's grafting into a citrus tree, then it'll produce a great
Sure.
variety of citrus fruit
Okay,
according to the branch that's been grafted in.
gotcha.
So if we're a wild olive grafted into the natural olive, as Paul says,
Right, right.
concerning God's allotment of blessings.
Whoa.
Mhm. Well,
I was just thinking that. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So Ace, were these like oranges spliced up with lemons or what?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So one branch would be an orange, produce oranges. The other branch would produce tangerines. The other branch would produce lemons,
That's
depending on what
amazing.
he grafted into it. But you cannot graft an apple branch into a lemon tree.
mhm.
Right.
It has to be citrus. But you can do that with apple trees. You can graft a lot of different
Apple trees together?
apple branches into an apple tree.
Wow.
Working down here, that he's trying to come up with something new and exciting for him to figure out if he can do.
We definitely see the layers. So you see
Yes.
clay, hard pan, hard pan's there, and then all that's hard pan.
This is all hard pan here.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you see how far down the hard pan
Yes.
goes. That's
It's significant. Yeah.
12, 15 feet. The functionality of this level,
Mhm.
is the sort of second floor underground,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
-2.
Yes.
there, is just the hottest point of summer, heat wave.
It's a place to come cool off. He's not making another home for himself down here. It's a single room. Functionality wise, maybe it doesn't make the most sense, but it's a new challenge. You know, it's getting a tree with 7 different types of fruit to grow 22 feet underground and making sure that it's getting enough sunlight for that.
Navel orange, lemon, grapefruit, sweet lemon, Valencia orange, sour orange, and cedro.
This is the only one that had 7. Today there's just the 2 oranges.
Oh, because they're not
Yeah,
all
we
at once.
lost some of the grafts
Yeah.
over the years, so you can see where they used to be here. So today there's just Seville orange and Valencia orange on here.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing tree still alive.
It lasted a long time. We still have people that come to us and tell us that they were here as children and they've come back now, 40, 50 years later, and they remember that there were multiple fruits still on this tree. So it did last a long time with all 7 fruits.
Keep going.
Yeah, it keeps going. And in fact, this is another interesting thing he's created. So this is what he considered his tri-level aquarium. Now, we use the word aquarium because that's how Baldassar referred to it, but really up here we just have a little fish pond. So he would go fishing in the San Joaquin River, and so sometimes he would catch small fish that weren't worth keeping to eat, but he would bring them back here. He would set them in this little fish pond, and he made a room underneath it where he could sit down there and look up at the fish.
So he was able to keep fish alive down here. Obviously
Yes.
now you have plastic fish, but
Yes.
at that point he was able to keep these fish alive.
Now I don't know how long, but
Yeah.
but he would bring back what he caught and he'd keep them in here.
Wow.
Yeah, just like a little pond.
You just kept experimenting.
And that's the thing. I feel like once he reached this point, he really is just like, let's see what else I can do. That's what I see him as doing.
Yeah.
So it just would have been able to look up and see the fish above him. And you can feel that temperature drop once again in here. I mean, this is a wonderful place to sit in the summertime.
You see that we're 2 floors below now because I can see.
Yeah, you can see.
I just saw it.
This guy's like a tunnel Tesla.
Yeah.
A lot.
And I'm guessing he didn't have the money way back in 1905, 1906 to buy glass. So I'm guessing that's a mineral called formica? Feldspar? I forgot. There is some type of rock or mineral that you can buy that's kind of translucent like that.
Wow. Yeah, this cat was ahead of his time. When she said that was an understatement. God. So that's like a Visqueen kind of a deal, Ace?
It's like a what?
That's kind of like a Visqueen, like a plastic kind of a deal? The material?
Yeah, it's a natural forming glass. In the cowboy days, they used to make their windows of this stuff.
Oh.
And instead of buying official glass windows, I think it's called feldspar.
Wow.
I forgot, but it started with the F. I do remember that. Feldspar.
Wow. That's cool.
Go.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Level above, it's really up there. So we're what, like 20?
This is about 25 feet below ground level now. Mm-hmm. So this is where he would eat his lunches in the summertime. And I think growing up in a Mediterranean environment, he probably loved that idea of being able to sit here and just relax. We do like to think that he embraced dolce far niente, the sweetness of doing nothing. So even though he's working hard, he's creating this home, we do see little pieces of his personality coming out where he's looking for places to relax and just enjoy his life. And I think this is a perfect example of that. This is just a place for him to come sit down, enjoy a meal, enjoy a glass of wine, look at the fish above him. I mean, it's a nice life.
What's the expression?
Dolce far niente, the sweetness of doing nothing.
Not a lot of time in his life for that, it seems like.
I know. He definitely was busy.
But then I guess you have to find those moments.
Yes. And I like to think about that side of him because, it would be kind of sad to think if he was just work for 40 years. But I don't think he was that way. I think that he was definitely passionate about what he was creating, but he also took time to be with his family, to sit down here and just enjoy his life.
He's playing.
Yes, exactly. This is in the 1930s. He started in 1906. So at this point, he has reached that point of like, what else can I do?
So underground fish.
Yes.
Underground trees. Underground fireplaces.
Yes.
I mean,
And a wine cellar, because you need that. If you're going to have the whole underground area, you need a wine cellar.
of course, a little more.
Right? You can't leave that behind.
And you see vegetation everywhere.
Yes.
Continually planted.
Yes. And that was a focus for him because at a certain point he was selling that fruit and making his living that way. So he did take space to make sure that he was growing those fruits.
And growing citrus in this kind of weather, in this area, that people can't,
Citrus is actually fairly common in this area if you get a good piece of land.
Okay.
That was the tricky thing for Baldassar, is citrus has very delicate roots, so it wouldn't be able to handle the hard pan.
Okay.
And he was unaware of the hard pan, so it was really trying to find an environment of getting past the hard pan for them.
I love it. Sour oranges.
Well, and the sour oranges were a really smart thing to plant because they're a very hardy tree. And so he would very often plant sour oranges and then go back and graft other citrus onto them.
This you can see just goes straight up. Does he prune?
No, actually they grow this way because of the exposure they have to the sun. So they just naturally grow straight up like this.
And they don't put out any limbs because why would you?
Exactly. There's no sun to get down here. You got to get up there.
They know.
Yeah, right. Nature knows.
That's a tall orange tree.
Yes. Yeah, so all of our citrus trees are shaped so differently from ones at ground level because of this skylight system. Instead of becoming more bushy down towards the bottom, they all need to grow up there, which actually makes it very convenient for harvesting because you can just walk at ground level and pick the fruit off like a bush.
I feel like I could move here.
Right? It's a nice way to live.
Yeah, isn't it? I'm surprised it didn't inspire more of his neighbors or more people.
I think just too much work. And it was unconventional. I mean, we have to think about other people living in this area at that time. They were not looking to do something like this.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? We don't want to change even if it's...
Yes, even if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So we consider this his chapel garden. And then we have his area of prayer over here.
So can we go with the biblical metaphor? Is this like an underground Garden of Eden or something like that?
You could. You could.
Oh, you can feel the breeze in here.
Yes.
You feel the breeze coming through. So even without the Venturi effect,
It still comes through, yes. And a lot of the tunnels are set up in a way to push the air through them. And it really transports you. If you're very quiet, you can hear Highway City out there, but it takes you to another world. Lets you step back into his time, I think.
Oh, I see. Okay, then this is the chapel.
This is the chapel.
Okay.
Yep, so this is where he would have his prayers.
Then his brother took over? Or
His brother took over. So he never married. He actually was a very social man. He had a few girlfriends over the years. He never found the right lady to come marry him and live down here with him. So when he passed away, he had no direct descendants. But he was very close with his brother Giuseppe. And when Baldassar passed away, Giuseppe tried to preserve as much as he could of Baldassar's creation.
And then above?
So we have Baldassar's bell up here. One, it's the chapel, so you need to have a bell, but practical purpose as well. Baldassar used this as a doorbell. This area will turn you around quite a bit, but right up this passageway, there's a direct way to ground level again. So he made sure that his close friends and his family knew how to come down this passage and ring the bell, because you can imagine if they're coming over to see Baldassar, there's acres and acres of tunnels. It would be near impossible to find him. So they would come here and they would ring the bell and Baldassar would come meet them.
Can we go see the bell?
Yeah.
The front door? Or
Yeah.
A door?
Yeah.
There's no front door.
There's no front door. There's no front door, but yeah, it would just be.
And she doesn't tell about the many times that Baldassar got lost trying to find his way back to the door. Where the hell am I? It's like a maze down here.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm out of here.
Especially at night. Uh-oh.
Be right through this way.
Oh, but we're still underground.
You're still underground, but see, if you come up here, there's Shaw Avenue.
Oh, so it's kind of a slope.
Yeah, so he would make sure that his friends and family, Shaw was here at the time. It was a one-lane road, but it was here.
Yeah.
So they would just come right on Shaw and just walk right down here, down that tunnel, and ring the bell.
So here you see that there's some trees, but these are partially underground. I mean, they're,
yes.
Right? Does it help? It's getting to good soil?
It is getting to good soil, which is why they were planted here. But I will say these trees, they have had a harder time than the ones that are fully enclosed. You also notice that the trunks are very different with these trees. They're a lot thicker than the ones that you see that are fully enclosed.
Because they're trying to get
more nutrients. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the doorbell was?
So they would walk down here, make a left, and then there's that big doorbell in the chapel. So there would be a rope hanging down.
There's not a rope coming out here to pull it.
No.
Like it was open.
Yes, this was completely open. He had no fences. So they would just walk right in, make a left, and go ring the bell.
The same way before modern communications, if a town, if there was some trouble, somebody would run to the church and
ring the bell. Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
It's the same model coming from the old world.
Mm-hmm. Which you can see a lot. You know, he's taking this knowledge he has from his home country and incorporating it here.
Yeah. And even that way of sort of living amongst the orchard, that feeling of like it's so much more beautiful down in here than what we see out on the street.
Exactly.
Like, this is...
Yeah, you're living right in nature.
Yeah, yeah. In a place that's kind of dry and hot and and you know, there's not forests around here.
Exactly.
Little spots. What is that? More?
It's more. It just keeps going and going. So eventually Baldassar got the inspiration of turning this into a day resort. This wasn't something that he ever ended up opening up as a fully functioning business, but that was part of his inspiration of continuing to go, was he wanted to make courtyards where people could come underground, they could escape the heat, and they would be able to sit and just enjoy a glass of wine, enjoy some fruit right off of the tree. So this area that we're in right now, eventually he wanted it to be a car tunnel because he knew that if he was going to have a resort, he needed a way to get people to bring their cars underground. And so this tunnel here was intended to be part of a valet service for the resort.
you can see that it wasn't finished.
So he had a lot of big ideas. Unfortunately, he did have an untimely death. He was only 67 when he passed away. He developed a hernia, which I think is not too surprising considering how many years of hard labor he had. But he went to have surgery on it and it was successful, but he got pneumonia while he was in the hospital. And so the pneumonia is actually what took his life. So he had lots of plans for what he wanted to do with it. And I think if he had had another 30 years to work down here, he probably still would have had big plans. You know, I think he would have kept going and going as long as he could.
There was a lot of foresight too. We're thinking about cars, what, in the 30s?
Yeah, in the 20s, he was starting this area. He had a car, so I think he just had in his mind that that's the way of the future and people are going to be having them, so we need a place to get them down here.
The mules?
Yes, so he actually had several different farm animals, 2 mules, and he also had a cow, he had pigs, he had chickens. He kept all of them up at ground level. Some people, they'll come out here and visit us and say, well, why did they have to be in the heat? But a big focus for Baldassar was that the air would be very fresh down here. And of course, when you start bringing farm animals underground, that's not going to keep the air quite so fresh. So they had structures just like other animals would have had in the area. But this area specifically, he did use those 2 mules to create because he would hook them up to his Fresno scraper. So that would be for the larger tunnels like this.
We believe saving at Target should be easy, like saving 5% on every trip while paying from your existing checking account. Apply in minutes today and use it right away by linking your checking account to a Target debit red card today.
Cool.
Critics are raving about Secret Invasion. It's the game-changing spy thriller. Streaming this Wednesday.
Watch your step here. It goes down pretty steeply.
Yeah, I know.
And let your eyes adjust a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we come out here and we're right back in that car tunnel.
Oh. So this is big enough for cars. I don't think we've been
Cars of the time. Cars of the time. Yes. I mean, it's definitely meant for Model A's, Model T's, narrow and tall. Most of our cars would not do very well in this car tunnel. And I was mentioning the Fresno scraper before that he'd hook up to his mules. His Fresno scraper is actually in here. So the Fresno scraper was invented in Fresno, but this is the first piece of farming equipment where people were able to excavate more than 1 shovelful at a time. So you would hook 1 or 2 mules up to that and just drag it along.
So this is how he was able to get a lot of dirt out of here.
Oh, yes.
Just with the animals and then
Scraping it along the ground. And so that would be used for the big projects like the car tunnel. Now for the smaller spaces, something like that is not going to work. But something large like this, you can excavate a lot more with that.
Yeah.
What really stands out with Baldassar is he's doing this on his own. There are other underground places, but very often they're done by a team of people. This is being done by himself.
This is a solo place.
Yes.
Wow. It's like his own like Moby Dick, like
Yes.
you know, his own.
Yeah, because this you would almost think of these modern tunneling devices.
You would think so.
This was all by
This
hand.
is done by hand.
All of
This is done by hand. All of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he just scraped it and took it out.
Yes. Yeah. And then it probably would have gone right up that way because that starts to head up to ground level. So we would have taken it right up there and found a way to repurpose it.
Right, it keeps going. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, because here it's just kind of semi-underground.
Yes, but you can feel that temperature change coming here. It's quite a bit warmer in this spot.
It is.
But once again, this is more for the cars, so he's probably not quite as focused on temperature-wise and more focused on keeping the air fresh.
And then he just kept going, so he was just going to keep digging and
So
longer?
I think so.
Yeah.
So this area actually heads up to ground level, and that's where he was planning to have a parking lot for the day resort.
Okay.
So the idea was the cars would drive all the way back there, and he had a space for a parking lot.
And is that a chimney?
That's a chimney to our ballroom, which was the final project he was working on before he passed away. I do believe that if he had had more years, he would have just kept going. But the ballroom was what he was working on before he went to have that surgery on the hernia. And the ballroom was also for that resort idea. He wanted to be able to have a space where people could have weddings and parties. It's currently under restoration, and he didn't finish it, so you're going to notice it looks quite a bit different than the other areas you've seen.
Oh my gosh. If he was doing this kind of modern...
So he started it. He excavated the room itself. So that alone is a huge feat, 3,500 square feet that he excavated. And All of this he excavated. And if you look around the room, you'll see some of his stonework. So he started the stonework. He passed away before he was able to finish it. So this room just sat here until Giuseppe was able to take over this piece of land, and then it was finished by Giuseppe and his family. Yeah, these are Baldassar's tools up here, and you'll see if you look at the shovels. I mean, I'm sure he went through many of them over the years.
Oh, wow. Just standard shovels.
Just standard shovels, standard pickaxes.
So the pickaxe was probably really important then.
Oh, yes,
For, like,
yes.
Getting through a lot of that.
That was huge because most people use dynamite to get through hardpan. Baldassar didn't want to use dynamite for two reasons. One, he wanted to reuse the stone. So if you blast it out, you're not going to get usable stone. But two, once he started creating, he didn't want to affect the rest of his structures. So he's doing it by hand.
And then he would just put things into these wheelbarrows?
Mm-hmm. He'd put things in the wheelbarrows and haul the wheelbarrows up to ground level. Once he started making friends in the community, he would accept help with pushing the wheelbarrows up to ground level because that's one of those laborious tasks that he didn't necessarily need to be doing that.
Yeah, you could give yourself a hernia doing that.
And living in this area through times like the Great Depression, he very often would try to help other families in the community by giving them work to do, and then he could pay them with fruit that he was growing or other food that he was creating here.
So all we see here, there is some planting. Like, so somebody was able to plant.
Yes, so this was actually done in the 1940s. Okay. And this is here because of all the excavation that he did underground. Once he got past the hard pan, he was able to find a good soil that he could use for planting, and he moved it up here and built the topsoil up so much that eventually he planted these. So these are his trees. They're much younger than the ones underground that were planted in the early 1900s, but they are his.
Okay. And this right here was his original house?
No, this is actually from a World War II airfield.
Oh.
Yes, so history later down the line. So eventually his brother ended up taking it over after Baldassar passed away, and there were a few areas that needed to be finished off. At the same time, we had a World War II airfield called Hammer Airfield. They were auctioning off the buildings. His brother bought some of the buildings to finish off some of the areas Baldassar had been working on.
So there is a little bit above ground.
A little bit.
And it just happens to be an old World War II airfield.
Just happens to be.
Hangar.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something significant?
Oh, yes. So this is one of those arch forms I was telling you about that he would create. He would just create them with parts that he would find, scrap metal, and then prop them up and build the arch around it. Mm-hmm. After Baldassar passed away, land was sold off by family over the years, and as you can see, the city has moved in on us, so we have preserved what we can.
Yeah, you were mentioning where was the one?
So there's a rumor that one of his rooms is on the property where the Carl's Jr. is today. Okay. And then as we get a little closer to our property, there's some hotels. On the other side of the hotels, there's a small neighborhood. Okay. And those we do know, some of the houses have a room or two of his in their yards. And they just cover them up with boards. They don't use them. They don't use them. They just have boards over them.
Wow.
Wow.
I think I'd use them.
No, we've actually never dealt with any collapses.
God, I wish I would have been able to go there, man. It's
that was Baldassar as well.
As many times as I've been through Fresno. It's crazy. This is just unbelievable.
Yeah, that'd be fun to discover something like that on your land. Cool.
Just get a sleeping bag and go camp out in one of the tunnels. Shit.
Yeah, just hang out and
walk around and explore.
Little party room or something. I don't know.
Yeah. God, Ace, this is amazing.
Yeah. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. You just got to dig around and make a little space.
Wow.
Well underground actually makes sense.
Right. Well, yeah, because you're excavating anyway. So from this point, it's about 10 feet below ground level, and then it's excavated another 40 feet down. Oh. So at that point, that was enough for this to be a functional well for him. And you're right by his home, so that's a convenient place to have your water well, right? You just go over and get your water.
I don't want to listen to that.
we've been in a lot of cave homes that feel like caves, but this doesn't feel like you never forget where the light is. Light and air, and it feels really,
More than a home, because of the amount of uses you find around here, it's almost like a little village.
Yes.
It feels more than a home. It's
Yes.
Gardens.
Yes.
A chapel. Place to cook, place to sleep, place to hang out with your family.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing with Baldassar is he was very social. He had a heart for people. He wanted to share this with people. And in fact, on Sundays, he welcomed visitors to come see him, and he would just walk them around and show them what he was creating. So this was not intended to be something where he's just sequestering himself alone underground. He wanted to share it with others. This is one of the areas he brought in a strawberry tree to attract birds. So this was an area that he was hoping to have visitors come and relax.
This must be a really old one, right? It looks old.
The grapevine, yes. Yeah, the grapevine was planted very early on in the early 1900s, over 100 years old.
That's a vine.
And it still produces grapes. And this is one of his grafted trees. So you'll see both oranges and lemons growing up here. He did like experimenting with grafting. We used to have quite a few more grafted trees, but over the years, some of them have just lost their grafts.
Because he wanted to be able to have lots of variety.
Exactly, because that's the best way to get, more fruit in the same space. Just graft them onto the same tree.
It's really dreamy. I mean, to have like these trees down here, and you could just pop a fruit in your mouth. You're underground. It's cool.
Pop it in your mouth.
It's a lovely way to live. When you really put yourself in his shoes, yes, he's working hard to create this, but doesn't that bring so much more value to it, that he's creating the home that he wants for himself?
Wow, what a great wife. Talking about her husband?
I don't think so. I think
she's talking about welcome, Cade. This is a video about a guy who started in 1906. He bought this property thinking he would grow a bunch of lemon trees and orange trees, but it was only 2 inches or 3 inches of topsoil. He didn't know. It was just all hard pan under there. So to get out of the heat in 1906, they had a huge heat wave. 150 degrees is what I thought she said. It might have been 115. But to get out of the heat, he started digging tunnels. And he ended up making a home for himself that was it was somewhere between 4 and 10 acres under there.
Whoa. 10. Oh, I see the title now. He dug 10-acre underground village and orchard. Who's this man? What's his name?
Baldassar.
And it's in America or another country?
This is at?
This is Fresno, California.
Fresno, brother.
Whoa.
Yeah, you know how hot it gets out there.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Been there lots.
So I guess you could call those mixed citrus trees a Fruit Loop tree.
Yeah.
Okay, be sure and put yourself on mute when you're not talking, because I'm getting an echo.
I'm just so surprised by a tree that grows lemons and oranges and whatever else is on there. I just didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, you're becoming a farmer, right? Got to learn stuff.
Yeah. Ready?
Go.
I think once he figured it out, the only limitation was his own abilities. He had 80 acres to work within. This is not a time where he had to get permits to create these things. I mean, he could just wake up one morning and go and create an idea.
He was getting a lot from the land he had bought by mistake. But in the end, that turned out to be like an opportunity for exploration.
Yes, right? Exactly. And we kind of see it as he took the lemons that life gave him and he made limoncello. He made something just very different and creative and very unique in a way that he never saw his life going this way. But, if things had worked out well, where he had gotten this good piece of land and he had grown his citrus, we wouldn't be here today. It would just be more of Highway City. And instead, he created this thing that we have, this legacy of people still coming today to hear about him. His nephew Rick used to say that he wasn't limited by conventional wisdom. Many people would have been faced with this obstacle and would have thought, well, I'm done. I'm just going to have to work as a laborer the rest of my life. And he was not that type of person. He was someone who thought about it and have found a unique way to overcome that challenge.
Wow, thanks, Dale.
Okay.
That was way cool.
That was cool. Yeah.
That was like a journey, buddy. Wow.
Yeah, so Cade, we watched 2 videos. One was a guy who's for the last 10 years has been living in a teepee as a nomad, sometimes just staying 2 weeks in one spot. He's got 2 horses and a mule that he uses to pack his stuff around, but he's not totally like he's in the 1800s because he does have, solar to charge up his computer and his batteries and flashlights, but he spent the last 11 years living as a nomad in a teepee, like he was an Apache Indian or something. And then the second video was Balthasar, who bought the land, and he couldn't grow the fruit trees, so he started digging and built an underground universe for himself.
80 acres he bought, huh?
He bought, I think he bought 40 acres, and he developed about 10 of it as 10 acres as livable rooms with bedrooms and living rooms and
all underground
areas, all underground, and fish tanks.
Wow.
And bathroom and growing fruit trees 20 feet.
Sign me up. Sign me up. Dale, you ready? Is that what you're doing? You sending out a big call? I got like 4 shovels in the garage right now. Square, flathead, and round.
Now you have vision.
Yeah,
so I thought it'd be good to put these 2 videos together, because if all of the paper pushers out there, the brothers and sisters who are paper pushers, find themselves unemployed and homeless, there's more than one way to scan a cat. So,
man, you know what? I am so glad that I didn't. I don't think I am. What do you call it? I think everyone that doesn't go through the whole college ordeal, gets a trade skill, learns how to work with their hands, I think they're immune to poverty and not being able to feed themselves. I'm actually, for the first time in my life, I'm happy and quite unafraid to say I didn't graduate high school.
You didn't graduate high school?
Nope.
Cool.
Neither did I.
I was the first person in my extended family to ever graduate high school. All of my uncles and aunts and grandparents, they all dropped out of school at 3rd and 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah.
And they were so proud of me for graduating high school. I did go to college as well, but I just concluded over the years that it was nothing more than a babysitting service.
Yeah, I took some college, and I have a trade skill and certifications, and I did go to 4 years of that brainwashing. What do they call it? High school? I think it should be called dumbass school. Well, but I did have wood shop. I got wood shop. I had wood shop, and I had what else did we have in there? Automotive.
If you didn't graduate high school, you did have to get a GED or whatever it's called to get into college, didn't you?
That's what they told me, but I defied the rules. I took anatomy, physics. I mean, I was in nursing school. Oh yeah. When I just lied. They don't look.
Okay.
Every job application, I just check yes. What the hell? I feel like I graduated. I don't need no damn piece of paper. I took 4 years of that shit. Touchdown for me.
There you go. Hail Mary.
Hail Mary. But God's
As-
always made sure that I was able to take care of a family, of 7 of us by myself, or with him.
By the way, that Hail Mary comment wasn't a religious comment. It was a pass,
Yeah, sarcasm.
a wing and a prayer kind of a thing. Sorry.
Yeah, I concluded that the only 2 classes that I actually benefited from, or the 2 things from school, was how to use the library and how to type on a keyboard.
Man, I blew it, man. The typing teacher was too good looking.
Yeah.
I regret that for a long. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But now you don't need to know how to use the library. You can get a university level education from YouTube.
You really can. I'm telling you, you really
can learn how to do anything.
Anything.
Gardening, mechanics, seducing women.
Everything.
How to be a bachelor.
Everything.
How to be happy even if you don't get your way.
Everything.
Hey, nobody teaches that. Well, boys and girls, allow me to suggest that this whole 2 years with ACO, one of the things I've been trying to suggest, read between the lines, is that you can be happy even if you don't get your way.
Well, actually, I think that's kept me alive, that teaching, to be honest. No shit. I think it has helped me overcome so many. I think it's helped a lot of people. That's not your teaching. You've learned that from other men.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a wise teaching, and you don't hear it very often.
I think after reading enough Paul, I think we can say Paul actually says you can be happy if you don't get your way, because you are not going to get your way. You come into the faith and you're going to suffer. And so stop your bitching and moaning, Paul says. Of course, he uses the official words of murmuring and complaining. But
wow, that is.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
I'm working on you.
Dale, you don't bitch and moan.
I do in my head.
Yeah, but
you're pretty laid back, bro.
You're not a bitcher.
I think so, Dale. You got a pretty good gentle spirit about you.
I'm telling you, Clint Eastwood, De Niro, right there, the essence. Right now, I wouldn't want to fight you.
Yeah, you could pass off as a mafia guy for sure.
I might have my tongue pulled out through my tonsils the opposite direction. Don't know.
You are pretty mellow though, Dale. In all honesty, I think so.
I think I'm pretty mellow, but that doesn't mean I don't bitch in my head though.
Yeah.
And when you
just
talk,
repeat after me, Dale. Repeat after me.
Okay.
I can be happy even if I don't get my way.
Yeah.
I can be happy even if I don't get my way, because I make my own way after that.
I can be happy if I don't get my own way, because I make my own way after that. I like it. I'm gonna say it too.
Your turn, Sean.
I can be happy for sure if I don't get my own way. Thank you, God. I was gonna say something to you, Ace. That show was fucking amazing, man. I am still awestruck right now about this tunnel digging dude, because if you notice,
I noticed.
What's
I'm
that,
sorry,
Bill?
Sean. I noticed your last comment in the private chat. I'm digging this.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah, I really appreciate shows like this because it gets us away from the mundane. We can kind of enjoy other things. I'm not saying the scriptures aren't a good deal, but I'm just saying it is nice to get away from it and get a break and kind of get into some other stuff. And I love it. It's like going on a little journey. That tunnel thing was a trip, dude. Oh my God.
The Mole Man.
Yeah.
I had a little journey today. Went over to my boy's house and hung out with my great granddaughter.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Wow. I can't believe I've got a great granddaughter.
Bragger.
Did it bring some tears to your eyes, Sir Dale? A little bit? Come on, be honest.
No,
Be honest.
no, not
Happy.
not tears, but man,
Don't be honest.
It was cool to see her though. Wow, man. It was actually the very first time I've ever met her. She's 3 years old. Wow.
Wow.
Man.
Sweet,
Ace,
Dale.
Ace says, don't be honest.
Yeah.
Right on.
And honesty is a bullshit factor.
It is.
You think?
Yeah. So somebody says something really ugly to you, and you say, "What?" And they say, "I'm just being honest." What? Fuck that honesty shit.
Yeah,
Right.
that is kind of a club in the head, isn't it? I retract that statement.
Is my mic? Am I echoing now?
You're
No,
good now. You're perfect.
You're perfect.
Well, let me
You
see
looking
something.
better, Cade? You feeling better? Oh.
You gonna be honest or
Still good?
Still good.
All right.
so Cade, the question was, are you feeling better?
I'm trying to. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm waiting to get this full body scan, find out if I need to cry or start jumping out of airplanes or robbing banks. It depends on what I have.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want to rob banks anymore because they don't have the cash.
Right.
You'd
I want
have
a
to-
safe deposit box.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. Give me 15 minutes with a terminal ill disease and 2 years left to live. Why wouldn't you?
Should we continue in silly sin that grace may abound?
No, that wouldn't be silly.
I just noticed a comment from Hill. Yep, you can do anything with online instruction now. I heard a story about a lady. She I don't know 2 or 3 kids or whatever. She built her own house through YouTube videos. Something like that. Something like that.
Yeah.
I guess you can do it with those containers now. You can build these tiny home with these containers, I guess. I don't know if anybody would be interested in living in metal, but these shipping containers and they're turning them into houses or something. I guess.
And then when's it
pretty
stop?
creative.
You know, I mean, right now, a 4-year degree, it takes 4 years. But I would argue that by the time you are done with a 4-year degree, you're stupid because it's so fast now. So what happens when technology, I mean, this is coming. It is. It's inevitable. I mean, there's an ending point. I mean, when's it stop? When you have like, you know, some new technology comes out and it's only valid for 12 months, but everyone's using it. And then it's on to the next one.
So, Sean, instead of digging this underground home, there's plenty of people out there who have YouTube videos and who built their homes out of tires, old truck tires.
Tires.
Yeah, what they do is they stack the tires one level and then fill them with dirt, stack them with the next level, fill them with dirt. So there's dirt and tires. So their walls are 30 inches thick, and so the home is really feels like it's air conditioned.
Whoa!
Because it you know, it's a really deep wall. I know one fellow who built a whole house out of newspaper. He would go into town and raid the recycling yard, bring back tons and tons of newspaper, and he would shred them up into a big vat and make newspaper bricks really thick bricks to make his home in the desert. He bought this really cheap piece of land, and he built his house out of newspaper bricks.
Wow.
And it was really cool and, against the hot weather.
Yeah.
And you couldn't tell it was newspaper. It just looked like regular old bricks.
So this desert land stuff, it's really much, much cheaper, right? I mean, it's just crazy cheap, right? Is that correct?
Right.
Ace?
Because it takes imagination to make it work.
Right.
Well, I tell you, the girl I was dating in high school, she lived in an adobe house. They thought it was going to be like deemed a historical home. Man, it had thick walls and with paint, but it was cool as could be in the summertime and warm in the wintertime. It was amazing. It really was.
Huh.
You got to keep the paint, I guess, in there. You probably wouldn't, I don't know what you'd use today, but that was the only downfall. If you let the paint go and you didn't repaint it, you get the dirt, flaking off, and then it ended up in dirt on the floor. But I would imagine if you painted it every 5-10 years, maintenance wise, you never have any of that. I thought it was awesome. When the shootout happened, it really felt like I was protected behind that, thick. It felt like the bullets were going to get through like on a regular modern house. They just whizzed through that insulation. Come on, Dale. God dang, man. I got a grin.
For a second, when you said shootout, my head went like dramatic for a second. I was like, holy shit. Kind of frightened me, Cade.
You know what, Sean?
Yeah.
Speaking of getting your education.
Yeah.
It's really tough now to know what to learn because, for example, they recently took the word gullible out of the dictionary.
That's true.
That is amazing. That was what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I'm happy with my gullibleness, Ace. It has served me well. It has been the greatest downfall of my life, and it has been such a joy when it came to an end. And it was usually a fucking 2x4 upside the head, so...
Mine was usually followed by the thought I was in love.
Yeah, that. Oh, yeah. What is that anyway?
Gullible Tina Turner bullshit.
Said, what's love got to do with it? It's what she said, dude. And that chick got smacked around like you wouldn't believe, man.
It's true. It's emotions. Doesn't trump loyalty and honor and duty. It's way, way on the oversold list compared to those three. Oh, lighten up, Cade. Okay, let me lighten up the environment here. Yay. Trump might be president again. There you go. Yay. He might be president again. Trump might be president again.
It could happen.
We might get another 4 years of incredible news entertainment.
If he is the John Gotti of the presidency, yes, and he dodges 31 indictments, there might be something to that cat.
He's pretty damn good, though, if you watch him. He's pretty good at it.
He did get a picture with Jorge Masvidal from the UFC, the MMA fighter.
Yes, he did.
Yep, at Cuba Town in the middle of Florida, Miami, I think, or something. They stopped at a bakery, and he said, "Free lunch for everybody in the restaurant." I guess when you got billions, man, it's pretty easy.
Right. I'm thinking about starting a divorcemen UFC like / fight club where like 45 and over It's just no holds barred, and the proceeds go to charity for any man that needs men's rights help in a court of law, to obtain or keep custody 50-50 of his children. And I think the guys would feel great at 45 getting divorced and then being able to go and fight like that. I think it would change their lives.
Shit.
It might be a sport that everyone likes to see. The women might even want to watch their ex-husbands get their asses kicked, supposedly.
Oh.
Huh? Be good marketing, wouldn't it?
That's crazy, buddy.
You can dream it and believe in it. You can do it.
Yeah.
I think it would get tons of views. It would give me a reason to start working out for sure.
Have you been able to get out on a bike and stuff?
On my bike, I did. I rode my motorcycle 3 times this week.
Oh wow. How'd it feel? Good?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Felt great.
When I was younger, we used to go camping out.
It's not registered. It's not registered either. So there's that, added adrenaline.
That element. The element of
where the black and white gets behind you, you got to go faster.
We used to go. Have you ever heard of Jawbone Canyon before, Cade?
No.
Okay, well, it's outside of California City. It's up in the Mojave Desert.
Oh, yeah.
When I was younger, I was like 12, 13. The family used to, we all took our dirt bikes up there. And
now, where is it again?
It's up by Lake Isabella. It's at the foot of the Sierras where it starts to
I'm
get
sure.
on
I'm sure I've ridden out there. Totally.
It's Jawbone Canyon. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Matter of fact, I'll tell you something. We got stranded. I got stranded for 2 days out there, and with 4 guys on bikes at nighttime. No.
Yes.
I'm sorry. We made it back. We almost got stranded for 2 days, but we rode back all night long in the freezing weather. There was only 2 bikes that had headlights. I had I still have it. A Honda. No, I actually got rid of it. It was a Honda. It was the Baja Honda. It was the 450X.
The 450
X with the automatic start, the kickstand, and the headlight. The Baja bike, and another guy had that. Yeah, the Thumper.
Wow, shit.
And had we not had those 2 bikes, I swear to God, the ridges were so steep. We rode back pitch black.
Butterbread Peak is where the hill climb was, and it's I don't know if it's 4,000 feet or something. It's way up, and these guys would have paddle tires. They would do extension on the swing arm on the back, and they would take this hill, dude.
Oh my God, I can see it now.
And the back side of it is literally a little teeny trail like you're talking about, dude, and a major 1,000-foot drop on both sides of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
And these guys ride that thing, dude. Oh my God. Cade, it's crazy. You guys went down that trail?
I don't know if it's that trail. I'm just saying we were lost. I had a guy. The guy that took us was a very big, prominent business owner here in town, like a store that had 5 or 6 chains, a finance store. And the guy had static mount maps on his iPhone to where, so it wasn't updated, and he got us lost. It was horrifying, to be honest with you. Horrifying.
Yeah, there's just miles of mountainous desert out there.
Just nothing. And we ran out of gas 4 times getting back home, and left guys out in the wilderness at a location. And then the next group of bikes, until they ran out of gas. And thank God we got to a gas station, and then backtracked all the way through the trail where we left our friends, 4 of us.
Wow. Yeah, my oldest brother had a Mako. Do you remember Mako motorcycle?
I've heard of them, yeah.
He had a Mako, and then we all had Yamahas, and then the other brother had a Suzuki. We used to go out there and spend the whole weekend, man, just get lost out there. They got a place called Devil's playground. It's similar. It's right by Lake Isabella, I guess, if you go way back. And
Yeah.
it was just the riding out there is just it's a motocross heaven out there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, beautiful place.
We need to do it again, Sean. We're getting old. We're gonna die.
I know. Death is. I know. It's not that. Who knows how long, man? We got.
Have you ever rode a dirt bike like up an old waterfall where it's just like rocks now, and you have to jump off the bike and ride beside it with the engine going, and then jump back on it?
Talking about a trial bike.
Yeah, trails like that, just hardcore.
I've never done rock. I always did dirt, mainly dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly dirt. Some of them guys they get in some deadly shit with those trial bikes up there.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
They ride these rocks and everything, bro.
Amazing. What?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
I don't have the coordination for that shit. I probably could fall down the mountain and die.
Right.
Yep.
No more.
Yeah.
But you could jump out of an airplane. Ain't much you have to do. Just fall, right? And pull the cord at the right time.
I've never done that. Have you guys all done that? Ace, have you jumped?
Nope.
No. Dale?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Jumped what?
A perfectly good airplane?
Oh, no.
Right. You want to do it now, Sean?
No. I'm not excited about that.
Me either.
No.
No. Death's coming, though. That's pretty bland.
Yeah.
There's a great movie that has a parachute scene in it. It's a coming of age movie. It's called Fandango.
What's the name of it?
Fandango.
Fandango?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
That sounds familiar.
That's like a ZZ Top album, Fandango. That was a ZZ Top album. Yeah, no, I'm serious.
Well, this movie was so good. It's basically a coming of age movie. This handful of guys are graduating high school, and they're going their separate ways. One's joining the army, and so forth and so on. So it's their last days together, and the movie goes everywhere. There's like car chase scenes and hiking scenes and jumping out of an airplane. And there's a wedding at the end.
Oh wow!
It's such a great movie, even though the plot sounds stupid. It's such a great movie that the guy who wrote Pulp Fiction, what was his name?
Tarantino.
Yeah, Tarantino said he went to see it like 10 times in the theater, knowing that it wasn't going to last in the theater very long.
Wow!
He went to see it 10 times.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's just these guys kind of going through the
Fandango,
whole
huh?
Yeah.
growth thing, kind of like going their own trails and stuff, but they're all hanging out together before they kind of go their separate ways. Is that kind of what you're saying? Wow.
And I think it's Kevin Costner's very first movie.
Oh wow.
And it was really good. I've myself, I've seen it like 3 times.
I'll have to check it out.
Fandango. When did it come out, Ace? In the 90s?
Oh, something like 87 or 88.
87. Wow.
Oh, there's a link to it.
Now, what did Mrs. Hill say about being in love?
She said, I feel bad for the jaded ones. Love is awesome between emotionally healthy people. Not talking about fairy tales here.
Who's the jaded ones?
I don't know who the jaded ones are.
That's all of us.
Oh, okay. I'll take that label. Thank you.
Those that have given up.
Oh.
Given up?
The Fandango came out in 85.
Fandango came out in 85. Wow.
Dale, yeah.
There was some great movies.
I'm just saying, too much trouble. Screw it. I think that's what she means, but I don't know.
But wouldn't you? I don't know, man. I'm always going to have a chick somewhere in the mix. It's just too much of a challenge not to have one, right?
Too much of a challenge to have one. What are you talking about?
Temporarily, just have them temporarily. But I mean,
Yeah,
don't go chickless.
Yeah.
Nah. I mean, every car needs a polish every now and then to keep it running right, you know.
Oh, that's funny. Every car needs a polish.
That's right. The classics more than most. That paint is delicate, you know. When Dale, you're gone, you're gone. I mean, you're depriving lots of women right now. Be honest. You're depriving them. It's sinful. That's not on the menu anymore. So Dale, the kind of man you are, if you're not taking advantage of, you're in a very advantageous spot in the world today, man. You're single, you're good looking, you're not fat, you're in shape actually. You probably
And
have
you're
your own money.
Cynical
You're
is
cynical, and you don't need girls, and they love it. And they'll never have a taste of that. In another 10 years, it's all gone. It's just fembot men from the rest of the. That's it. Yes, men. Yes, ma'am.
Men.
Yeah, please shine me. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'll do whatever you want.
Keep in mind,
They
boys
hate
and
those
girls,
guys.
all metaphors fall apart at the edges.
They do. But you are Studley, Dale, and I think you are depriving many, many young women under 30 years old the time of their life.
Under 30, right? Okay.
Dangerous any older.
Oh boy.
Oh shit.
Max says, I must be a metaphor because I'm falling apart at the edges.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that was
Nick
a good
Maxter. Love that guy. Got a good sense of humor. I think it destroys the seriousness in the body of Christ when you're laughing. It's very bothersome. I'm sure it probably irritates. Some makes happy, but some it irritates, I'm sure. Makes the compression on the way down a little deeper.
Sorry about that. Man, I had
painful.
Sorry. I had to escape to the restroom. When that monster needs to do its thing, I'm getting too old. I can't waste any time anymore. Shake your head, Dale. You know it.
I was just thinking of your use of the word monster. Sorry.
Words are great, aren't they?
Figures of speech.
I never said anything about how big or little. I just said monster. Everyone has their own.
I
definition
didn't
of
either.
that,
I was just referencing the word. That's all.
Nah. Can you believe Christ made us? Isn't it crazy? And then we're all him.
Well, God did through him, through Christ.
Yeah.
Right.
But God gave him the ability to make his heart's desire.
Living, breathing words of God.
In cahoots with his dad. They were in cahoots, and he knew what he wanted. More like him. So that means Christ has the same sense of humor. I didn't create it. I'm not being edgy. I mean, Christ is pretty edgy.
Ooh, I like that. Whoa.
I mean, look how suave he was with that woman that had like 7 husbands, right? He didn't crack her. He was sarcastically funny with her.
Yeah, he was being kind.
It's like, God, don't give me that shit. You have 7 husbands.
Yeah, and the what?
Behind, shush, man, come on.
And the one you got now ain't even
right. But I'm not broadcasting it. But you need to listen to me, babe. What's happening?
That's funny shit, man. I forgot about that one part. That was the woman at the well, wasn't it?
Yeah. If you come off like non-judgmental and totally, I'm telling you, girls will tell you anything if you just don't judge them. And they're scandalous. They're worse than guys. Worse. They're dirtier. They're more manipulative. They are. They have a lot less couth than the male species. I'm telling you. In general, I know there's some sweet ladies out there. God bless you. I'm talking in general, though, in the West, specifically the Western cultures. Yeah.
From Bakersfield to New York City.
Whoa.
Sean,
yes,
you in California? No.
Am I?
You're
No,
not.
I'm in Idaho.
Idaho.
Yeah, I the hoe, or we the hoe, or you the hoe, but we all hoe.
I don't know.
Or a potato hoe. Yes, I don't know. Ida, Weeda, Yuda. Beautiful state. Beautiful weather today, dude. God, Ace, you're right about the cooling trend, man. It is definitely cooling here. It was gonna be 65 tomorrow, in the middle of June.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah, this cooling trend started 2 years ago with the eruption of that volcano down in the southern hemisphere, the Tonga eruption.
Oh yeah.
Man, what is up with Yellowstone Park? That's a little disconcerting. Have you seen all the info on that?
No, what's going on?
Just the big threat of a big volcanic eruption.
Oh, you're talking. Oh,
they shut the park down.
No magma coming out of that. Not even a cone. Just straight shit right out of the center of the earth.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a trip? And then I guess it might be fear-mongering crap, but man, we barely make it where I live.
Yeah,
outside the ring of destruction.
Yeah, the whole middle of the United States would be it'd be an amazing thing. Not good probably for some folks.
Yeah, and amazing doesn't mean good or bad, by the way. So
right,
amazing.
That's why I use that term so it doesn't sound like fear mongering.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's politically correct, and you get lots of kisses and sweet shit from all the painful people who don't want their feelings hurt. So I got to say it in such a way that's sweet and kind.
It's all right. I'm sweet and kind. I appreciate it. You just made me feel like $1 million, Sean.
I'm not.
Thank you.
I am not sweet and kind.
Now I'm asleep real well.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Do you know what my pronouns are?
Tell me.
I'm just making sure. I mean, do you?
I'm not. I don't know anything, Cade. So you're dealing with a dummy.
You know what? All right. So like, dude is fine. Asshole's fine. Dickhead, that'll work too at times. But nothing like girly man or anything like that, is fine.
Huh.
Bastard even works.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's fine too.
That mole guy was killer, man. He had a lot of time devoted to his little project.
What doesn't work? Don't ever call me understanding. No.
Oh.
Sweet hell no. Don't do that. I would take offense to that. What else?
Ace called me a pussy cat.
Yeah, that pissed me off too, Dell. I don't see it as a pussy cat. I think he was being sarcastic. Yeah, you're nice.
I don't mind being referred to as a pussy cat. As long as you add that cat on the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe it's 10:01 and I'm looking out there and it's still light out. That's weird. I'm gonna have a kind of the sun will start to go down at 11. That's crazy.
I'll tell you something that you really don't notice until it's like pointed out to you and you look for it, is instead of like around dusk, instead of children out on the street like I grew up in the 80s, we were all out in the neighborhood playing, riding bikes, jumping ramps.
Remember that?
Yeah, oh my God, yeah.
It was fun,
no cell phones. Over at everyone's mother's house. I mean, we made it to certain homes. Like we all knew that Batman and Robin came on at a certain time. So no matter what house we were.
Did you guys line up underneath
Catwoman,
the jump?
man.
Cape, did you guys line up under the jump? Like put one person next to the other?
Hell yes.
Line up? Yeah,
absolutely.
And I hated being the dude on the end, dude. Oh my God.
I got to ride one of the first big wheels, and then the green machine came out. Oh my God, the elongated.
Where the back wheels do the steering.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I mean, whew. Yeah.
And that Schwinn bike with a gear shift on it with a giant sissy bar on the back of that thing.
I remember it.
It looked like a chopper, like a motorcycle, the way they made it.
All of it. Damn, those were great days, weren't they? There was no child molesters in those days, apparently.
I think people got along okay for the most part. I mean,
Matter of fact, my neighbor, but listen how crazy it was. My neighbor's wife was a nudist, and she was the
talk of the town.
No, she was the favorite mom in the neighborhood. We all wanted to have lunch over there, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. So you could get a peek.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sex runs more than everyone wants to believe.
Yeah, my babysitter was like that, dude. She was 17. She stripped down in front of me, man. And I didn't know how to deal with it. I was 9. So I kind of liked it, but I wasn't really sure what the hell was happening. She's like going into explaining her and her boyfriend and shit, right? What they do together. And
whoa.
Yeah, dude.
Whoa.
No, let me finish. So then afterwards, right, my mom comes home from work and she says, "You need to teach your son about the birds and the bees."
Oh, wow.
Because you're supposed to be intelligent at 9 years old and know all that shit, right?
That's
according
funny.
to the propaganda. But yeah, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I just, you're just 9 years old. Yeah, it was wild. But see, that was against the law too. Actually, if that happened now, I don't know.
She would have gone to jail.
Yeah, back then that was acceptable behavior. See,
it still is, man. For the girls, they don't get in trouble. Nah.
Yeah.
But god dang, boy, you reverse those roles. Oh my God.
Yeah, I told my therapist that, and he said, "Oh, that's abuse." I said, "It is?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's abuse." I went, "Wow."
Huh. Well, everything's abuse today, man. I don't fall for that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not so susceptible to it. I don't. Man, come on. No guy wants to think he's abused. Come on. That's weak. We don't want to be weak. But then if it's happening, you got to be honest and say, you know what? I've been weak and I've been abused because I've been weak. And stop being weak. If you can, but God might have another idea for you.
Well, it wasn't my call. That's what he said. I didn't know it was abuse. That's what he said.
Yeah.
So maybe it was to him.
Well, so far, I've been looking at Ace's glasses and I've been looking at his glass. The glow, and I've been modulating and interpreting. We're good. He's agreed with everything so far. I haven't seen the shutter at all, and I want to turn it all over to Dale because I don't get to hear from Dale that much.
What do you want? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're looking for. Uh-oh.
Wisdom, prudence, insight.
I don't know. You got to set me up. Insight into what? Chances are I don't have much, but we'll see.
Well, now that you've experienced the breadth of, I don't know, I've got 53 years on the rock. I know that Ace is getting close to 70. I would say, Dale, you've got a couple years in front of me. Sean, same thing. I think I'm the youngest man on the panel here, right? The most naive. Right?
I'm 58. Yeah. I'm 58.
Yeah, see, I'm 53, 52, 52. 53, 52 or 53. What the hell? I'll claim 52. Sounds better. So what advice then, Dale, starting with you, would you like men getting to the age of, 18, 19, 20, they get a job and they fall in love or they want a wife and all that. So what advice do you have for them with all the wisdom that God has given you by your experience now in the country that I share with you?
Best I could say is good luck. I don't know that I've got any advice. I've had 2 wives and 2 divorces, and I haven't figured out how to hang in there, or I don't know. I don't have any advice.
I mean, would you encourage a young man in America today to get married and get a marriage license?
I would not encourage,
as a Christian or as a believer in Christ.
As anybody, I would not encourage anybody to get a state marriage license. And if you're ever in danger of that common law thing coming back after 7 years or whatever it is, then go to a lawyer and get some kind of an arrangement where you're not getting screwed.
Did you ever see Dale Escape from LA? Because I have something that if you have enough cojones and maybe enough financial capital to match mine, we could do something awesome with what that movie's already told us about marriage. So do you remember Escape from LA with Kurt Russell?
I do not. No.
What?
I don't.
Come on.
Sorry.
Man, the pinnacle of masculinity. I'm calling you Clint Eastwood. Come on.
I don't.
Does anyone help me here? Like, remember, I mean, Kurt Russell's in LA. The LA became like the world prison where that's where the governments would dump all the criminals. And
I never saw that movie. I don't think I've seen that movie.
Holy moly, man. That's so much stuff I can give you guys. Your testosterone levels will be elevated like 0.5% for the rest of your life after that viewing.
1979 or something like that?
But anyways, the point is that the way they handled Kurt Russell as far as, hey, you go in here and because the president crashed in LA, right? The prison. And so they gave Kurt Russell, a criminal, but he was smart, a deal. If you get the president out, you get your freedom. But in order to enforce that, and this is what I recommend for husbands, I mean, if you want to do it, I don't know how, someone needs to work with me, but they injected Kurt Russell in his neck with a little pill that had a radio on it. And if he fucked up and he went against the contract, listen to me, if he decided to dip out of the contract, automatically the radio signal would like boop, and his blood vessel in his vein would break. He'd be instantly dead. I say this is what we need for marriage, right? Agrees. You get her to agree, and she promises never to opt out, to be loyal forever. And then you're like, well, hey, since you feel like that now, I mean, you'd have no problem like signing this and having these inserted into your necks, would you? No problem. And it's already set. It's set on a timer. It's set on, not on a timer, but no one could do anything about it. It's permanent. So if you're disloyal, then it just fixes itself automatically. What do you think, Del?
So you both have that in your neck?
I think guys would fare far better.
I think you'd have a whole lot of dead people.
Yeah. That's true.
Sorry for the racket.
So how does that work, Dale? The common law thing. So how long does it last for? You're with them for a certain period of time. If
2
you're
years
apart
in
for a
California.
period of time. What's that?
I really don't know. I just heard that 5 or 7 years or 4, I don't know what it is, that if you cohabitate for
A certain period of time.
a
Yeah.
certain number of years, you fall under the marriage laws just by default or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
But if
I
you're
think
not
it differs
together with that,
per state.
if you're not together with that person for a while, I mean, it can't just come back down the road and say,
There's only one way out of it. Seriously, I've been thinking about all this because I'm getting ready to give advice, right? And there's only one way. It's really sad. But for me to really feel good about giving advice to a young man, I would say that you should never, ever share your home with a girl unless she has her own place, period. You both have to have your separate homes,
the gal
separate
lived
bank
with me.
accounts.
She lived with me. She always lived with me.
Bad.
I never lived in her place.
They can spend the night a few nights, but they need to have their place to go back to.
Yeah.
If you want to do this, I mean, really, if you want to avoid the hell of having your children taken away that you create together, it's sad that I have to say this. It's true, though.
I got no kids and I got no wife.
I couldn't advise a young man to do anything different with the way the laws are today and the bias in the courts today. You will have your children taken from you. And what's crazy is that statistically, when it comes down to it, if a child has to be raised by only one parent, overwhelming, and you can go look this up. God dang, go look it up. If the child is raised by a dad, they fare far better than if they're raised by a single mom. It's just the truth. Worldwide, the children end up as almost as good as being raised by a mother and father in the home.
I can honestly say that I do not believe that would work with this dad. Me.
Why?
I
What do you mean?
just don't think I'm consistent enough to
Well, you might be an
to
exception.
be a yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm
You
saying I
might be,
think
but statistically,
if your rule is
it's
accurate,
not mine.
then I
It's not mine, Dale.
well
It's numbers.
whoever's rule or whatever the numbers are. I'm saying I believe I would be the exception. I don't think I would have. I think my kids were
It turned out
way
worse.
better off with their mother than they would have been with me.
Really?
It's just yeah.
But why?
I just don't think I am consistent enough, and I don't know. I just it's
How about now?
Ace,
might be worse. It might be worse now.
Ace, guess who wants to come on and argue?
Not me.
like he didn't get enough argument last night.
Man,
Jesus.
I'd love to raise my daughters. They would be amazingly happy. Love it. I'd jump on it in a second.
But right now, Cade, do you think you really are in that position right now where you can really be there that way? I mean, with your health and everything. I'm not trying to say you couldn't be a dad. I'm just saying.
Oh no, I could. Yeah, absolutely, okay. Because financially I could, and then I would do whatever it took. If I had absolutely, they'd have their own bedrooms. They wouldn't be spoiled. They would be raised wonderfully. They'd be full of life and love and responsibility and accountability, and they wouldn't be taught to sweep things under the rug or cognitive dissonance, and they'd be taught that mom and dad are equal and that they have a great mom and a great dad. They would be that's what they would be taught, and I would find all the great parts of mom that I could be honest and true about that with. Of course, every kid needs a great mom and a great dad. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Right? I think you can find God in everything.
That family unit is precious if you really think about it, man. It's some
It
powerful
is.
shit.
Even if you're not together, to have a mom and a dad is incredibly important.
That is
an incredible advantage.
Some of us were fortunate to have that. So, I mean, even though my folks divorced, I knew that I always had a dad and a mom. You know what I mean? Even if they were, I had that adult guidance around me. I'm grateful for that.
Dale, what are you laughing at, man? That's funny.
Dirty vomit.
Oh, you're reading comments.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm glad I made that good. Well, damn, that's a terrible thing to say about you, Dale. Damn, dirty vomit. You're being really hard on Dale. Jeez, Louise. You all right, Dale?
Yeah, I'm good.
We love you. Don't bother with what that man says. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Huh. Arbicus. Now I'm reading all the chats.
Yeah. I can't see him from way back here.
Unworldly marriage. Yeah. Well, Ace, what are you doing up this late?
I'm thinking about ruling the world.
Yeah.
I think I'll start with the Tri-County area. See if I can pull that up first. Yeah.
Test it, you know.
Do a dry test. Yeah.
Yeah. You got a feedback system, like, because you want everyone to be okay with it, the ruling.
Yeah, I want them to be okay with it.
Should have. Yeah, even if they shouldn't be okay with it, you got to figure out a way to where they think they're okay with it. It's just a pain in the ass any other way. I mean, trust me, please allow me to introduce myself. I've been around for a long, long time. You can continue the lyrics from the Rolling Stones.
What are those lyrics? Can you pull it up?
Song. It's a great song.
Hope you know my name.
Yeah. It was a great soundtrack for Interview with a Vampire at the very end of the movie. It was just perfect. Going underneath the Golden Gate Bridge in a convertible. That was a great movie. I think it's called Ode to the Devil. But you'll probably get, we can pull the lyrics up. That won't get you a copyright thing.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long time, a long, long year. Stole many a man's soul and faith. I was round when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure that Pilate washed his hands and sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
Great.
What's puzzling you is the nature of my game. Stuck around St. Petersburg when I saw it.
Keep going. Don't break it, Sean. Keep it up.
Stuck around St. Petersburg when I saw it was a time for change. Killed the Tsar and his ministers. Anesthesia screamed in vain. I rode a tank. Had a general's rank with a blitzkrieg rage, and the body stank. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
No.
But what's puzzling you is the nature of my game.
And what is so, Sean? So now, and then Ace. So to me, to be honest with you, so I hate when people say that. To be honest, but I don't like to really give my thoughts on the devil and everything. But this song and the lyrics, not that the singer is awesome and all that, because I think all lyrics are made by God. But it kind of like why do we need a devil, man? If you go and look up every one of those events in those lyrics, and he's saying that the devil's in all of that, I mean, mankind's pretty capable of doing some heinous shit for terrible motivations.
Oh God. I thought it was a cool song myself.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I do. I want to play it when this show's over. Actually,
the other one that's really good is Monkey Man.
Oh, really? I'm ignorant of that one.
Monkey Man. Just type in Monkey Man live Rolling Stones, and you'll see Charlie Watts, the drummer. He's a jazz. He was originally a jazz drummer, and he's always stuck to that. But he was incredible with the Stones. I mean, he was just he's fucking legend, dude. I swear they did a close up of his drumming in the background. That's what I liked about it, was that I'm into the music, so I really don't pay so much attention to the lyrics, but I liked just the instrumentation, the way that they set things up and stuff like that. But yeah, it was pretty amazing. And the guy lived a long time, man. I mean, he was married to the same woman for like 35, 40 years or something like that. It was just incredible. Wow. And he was like the nobody in the band, you know. All the front players got all the action, like Nick and Keith and Ron Wood. And he just was the background guy, but his character. They really liked his character. He just passed away a couple of years ago, or a year ago, I think it was. But yeah. Yeah. It was really a good song. But, you know, to some people, though, I think there is a scripture, isn't there, Ace, that says to some people something about it's a sin, it's considered a sin to the person, and to other people it's not, or something of that nature.
Yeah, it sounds like Romans 14, I think.
Yes. I love that scripture. You know, if you have faith, have faith for yourself. Blessed is the man. Blessed is the man who does not condemn himself for the things that he
allows.
Yes. Yeah, that popped in my head there. Yeah, I mean, years ago, I have to admit, some of this stuff would have been real sinful and horrible. But I think when you look through it with the lens of Christ, you see that it's really. I think you said it before. It's like, come on, guys, you really going to make that big of a deal out of it? You really want to get into micromanaging your sins? Really? Come on, man. Get the fuck off yourself, you know? Get off your back. God loves you, you know? I think that's the message, really. I'm kind of on a rant tonight. I'm sorry about that, but I got all jacked up when I saw the dude, the whack-a-mole guy. I'm going to call him the whack-a-mole guy now, Ace. But he wasn't a whack-a-mole guy, though. He was a mole, straight up.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
Not like the mole man of the first hour of the show.
Right.
He actually had
Sean.
He was kind of cool. Yeah, go ahead, Cade. Embarrass me.
Embarrass you? I can't embarrass you.
Yeah, say some.
I can't embarrass you.
Give me some of that wisdom.
So you guys are here. Look, Dale can appreciate. Oh, look, I'm going to post in the private chat.
I want to say this while we're on here. Okay.
A few songs that I made. There you go. But I don't want them public.
There's people in the chat line sometimes that I think are incredibly fucking rude. Okay, and I'm gonna say that right now. Okay, because I enjoy you when you come on here.
And rude to me?
Well, I'm not going to get into it, but I don't like some of the comments sometimes. I think people are incredibly fucking rude, and they need to look at their own behavior. Because I like what you share sometimes. I really do.
That's all right, man. You know, it makes me feel really good when people say
it is a blessing, but I don't like it. I guess I get upset. The devil in me comes out on this show sometimes.
Well, I feel empowered.
Okay.
I feel like my sandpaper grain is lined up the right way.
You're the man. I get emotional sometimes.
No,
there's people in here. There's people in here that I secretly care about.
You need to be more like me and get more haters, and then I can comfort you that way, and you'll feel like I'm feeling right now, which is boss.
Yeah. Well, I'm pulling for you in spirit, brother. Even if I don't talk to you that much, I do think about you.
I know you do. I don't care.
I do. I'm dead serious, bro. You don't.
Number one, all the girls like me in here. So, all right. Yeah. So it's only the white knights that don't like me.
Especially our little,
all the ladies like me.
Yeah, our little Chinese lady. Yeah, she really digs. She's got that. Just digging you, baby. Tonight we got to get some digging in. That's for sure. Anyway, I'm off topic now. I got Ace laughing.
Now you're having fun. I think you're on topic now. You're having fun now. Now we're having fun, Sean.
Yeah, Ace knows exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. And I didn't even have to say the name, but it's all good, brother.
The faith which you have for yourself in God's sight.
Yes, thank
If
you, Dale.
if someone don't like it, bite me.
Yeah, exactly. I know I'm still a hypocrite with some of these scriptures. I
We're
try to
dying,
practice.
man. We're all
I try to
dying,
practice. Yes, we are.
and we're not going to exist soon. So,
But my
what's
skin
the
is
big deal?
smooth. My skin is smooth, though.
And most people are lying to themselves all the time, and it's not like I wouldn't be with them. Only reason I'm not lying to myself is God smacked me upside the head and said, "Hey, look how stupid you are. Can you believe you're this stupid?"
You know what I love about Jim Morrison? He always talked about death. It drove people
It's
crazy.
inevitable.
They said, "You're a dark dude, man. You're really
Nah,
dark." Oh, they
it's
were
inevitable.
labeling him. Yeah.
I don't think a person, to be honest, I've lived the fake life, like pretending death is not coming. I don't really think you can really live until you embrace death as being your real end, and it's coming very soon.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill. I like that. That was good scripture.
I think it makes you eat better, cook better, have better sex, have better care of your body, believing and knowing that you're going to die very soon.
It seems like there's more appreciation with death when you have death beckoning your,
Makes you enjoy people a lot more and really listen to them because you know they're ending very soon. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. We're all going to be absent. None of us will be talking to each other, and several of us in succession. Here's the truth. And who knows who it's going to be. We'll end up the last one here in this between four little blinking little icons, Sean, Dale, Ace, and Cade. There's only one of us that's going to be here at the end when the other three don't exist. That's coming quickly.
I'd always heard absence makes the heart wander.
It's true too. Both of them are true because you have to wander to be fonder. You got to find out the green grass ain't green, it's brown.
I do love these people in the chat line, though, and I'm not trying to kiss anybody's ass, but I will say that, we're all doing the best we can. We're all suffering on some level. Some will admit it, and some will hide it. But, we are being subjected to this current wicked eon, and we just do the best we can. That's all we can. I really think that God just really loves us deeply.
Okay, hold on. Who's this proclaimer of the gospel of Jesus? I've never met this person. Romans. Context matters. Hey, welcome. I'm just trying to get a beat on who you are and what weapons you bring to the meeting. Or are those eating utensils? I don't know. Oh, wow. I like what Hill said. Did you see that, Sean? She said, yeah. Are you highlighting? Yeah, you did highlight that one. Humility. That's a great thing you said, Mrs. Hill. Humility is very attractive, and so is self-confidence. These are not mutually exclusive. Bam. That's a great thing to say. That's so true.
They kind of sound mutual. I can't even say
They do.
They sound mutually exclusive to me.
Yeah, they do. But
Ace,
they're not.
have we ever had Mrs. Hill on here before? I don't know if I know her.
No, I don't believe so.
Mrs. Hill, you can always come in here and just your icon. You don't have to turn the camera on, just your voice. But if you don't want to, that's fine.
Let's just know some kind words. That's all. It's very.
I have never met a self-confident person. Well, I don't know if I've ever met somebody who is self-confident that wasn't also self-righteous. They just thought their shit don't stink.
Yeah.
All right, I'm thinking really hard, thinking, but nothing happens. But humility, I don't think is possible until you've been humiliated. Once you go
Right.
through the humiliation, then
Well, once you're
then you can have
humiliated,
humility.
where's your self-confidence if you're humiliated?
It's like a muscle
Well,
in a gym. I've been humiliated on this show before. I will say that. And Ace,
Did I do it?
Ace knows. Yes, you did, mister. Yes, you did. And you know you did.
Was it lovely?
Yes, it's a different kind. It's a good training. It's a training ground here. So you know, Ace, you know the little tricks of the trade.
Right, but I'm thinking that that true humility is the same thing as self-confidence, and what we might call self-confidence in the world that Dale says is a bunch of pride and self-righteousness. I don't think that's self-confidence. They say because Paul in Corinthians, he says, I think it's the Corinthians, that he warns about overweening. And Brother Dean Huff wrote an article that in the Greek of the first century, overweening was thinking too highly of yourself and too lowly of yourself. In our popular culture, overweening would be thinking too highly of yourself, but they don't cover that thinking too lowly of yourself. But in the first century Greek, it was both, going in both directions. And so overweening is a thing that we kind of get disgusted with. If somebody's acting too down on themselves, we see it and we think, yeah. And if they think too highly of themselves, then that's disgusting also. And so I'm making an argument here that humility and self-confidence can be blended together to produce a lovely person. And this humility and confidence blended together would be a humility in that you know God, you believe God, you don't know yourself. You have given up knowing yourself because you've seen yourself that you thought that you had so much confidence in, and then and then you're humiliated, and so it's that nothing is of you. That life is just one shit show after another.
Right.
I was just taking a leak and I was thinking of this, Ace. I was like, because I was looking at what Hill said and I was thinking about that. I did wash my hands, by the way. So I was thinking of this. I was like, you know what? When you come smack into Christ, and this message, this is much different than the Christian message. The Christian message, that's the reason we laughed about me saying I wash my hands and everything. The physical is so goddamn important, and your humility and your demonstration of all of it is very important. Just what is on display that man's eyes picks up is very, very important. But then when you smack into this message, it's like you realize, man, you are really from the same lump of clay as all humanity, including Christ. Whoa. And there's not much difference.
Ace, I got a question though. When you said, what did it happen on this show and was it me? Do you have a specific incident that you remember?
No, I'm just thinking that we're all here in the same boat. That's all.
The teaching, yeah, that's true. But you have been, there have been a few times where I've got my chops busted and I never said anything about it. And but it made me think. So can I say that much? That
Yeah, sure.
I got to. It made me think of my own. Yeah, of this exact thing, self-confidence. Because if you do feel good and you know that Christ feels that way about you and loves you, then it can come off sounding arrogant when you have that confidence, which is Christ. And that's what I worry about sometimes. No, I mean, that's what I worry about sometimes, because it's him in me, but I feel like sometimes it comes off as bragging, but I'm really just bragging about him, in a way. But yeah, I've had my chops busted on here a few times. I've never really mentioned it, but it makes you really stop and think. That's what one of the things I do love about this. And it's in love. It's always in love.
So let me give you an example, and keep in mind that all metaphors fall apart at the edges. So if let's say you're in the military and you're supposed to make your bed in the right kind of way with square corners and all that crap, right?
Right.
And the sergeant comes to inspect your bed and says, "Look at that bed. Who made this bed?" And so if you have a false sense of confidence, a false sense of self-confidence, you would brag, "I made this bed."
Right.
But true humility, when the sergeant busts your chops, you wouldn't defend yourself. You would say,
"Right,
I'll do better next time, sir."
Right.
Oh,
That's it.
I got you.
So instead of saying, beating
That's
yourself
it.
up, you would just say, "I'll do better next time, sir."
That's
that makes
it.
sense. That makes much more
What I
sense.
want from my children. That's exactly what I want from my children in moments like that. That's what I'm wanting to hear.
Right.
So having a false sense of self-confidence is one problem, but it's the same damn problem to have too low of opinion of yourself. You see,
Exactly.
So it's the same problem of self-esteem. Too much self-esteem, too low of self-esteem is still, it's not going to serve you well.
It's a false pride, right? Is that true? Yeah.
Well, and man, and while you're growing up, too little attention. I mean, it'll not even turn into false pride. It'll make you create a false person that you identify as that can't be hurt. It's horrible.
And I think that was my biggest problem growing up, is I had two parents that were kind of lost in their own thing, and I took it personal, like they weren't there for me as a little kid.
Yeah.
So it made me, in a way, put a hunger in me for something different. And I think that's where Christ met me, because I didn't understand it. They were always saying, "This is our shit. This isn't you." But for some reason, as a little kid, I didn't know how to process that stuff right. And I think I took it on, and it became
Good night,
a
Arvicus.
problem. Good night.
No, I hear you took it on, and it did become a problem. You're right. Me too.
Yeah.
I think all of us.
Yeah.
So I'll fall back on that question that I want you guys to write down and have it as a part of your life. What are you telling yourself that's got you upset?
Right. The self-talk that we tell ourselves, the story that we tell ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can switch stories around with the same damn events, and it could be just as true. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's a different story in me now, though. It's kind of like a God story. I don't know.
Well, I switched mine around. So instead of like, oh, after so many years this happened, I'm like, man, I got to experience 30 years. That's a long time of having this. Now I can have all this cool other stuff that I've seen in movies that I couldn't have before.
The show that we just watched with the mole, he took his circumstances and turned them into something very positive.
Oh yeah, I can do anything I want now, man. I mean, I'm free.
Yep.
Really, certainly. I mean, that is a gift. Most people, and it wasn't my choice. I didn't choose it. I would have been burdened. I would have continued with my burden out of loyalty and commitment. Absolutely. Out of love. But, that has been absolutely ripped away from me. So I have another story to tell.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like Ace used to mention that. I heard him say it many times. Why, baby, why? Well, why not? I should ask the question, well, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Why not?
Why not? And then after, you realize that God has your life and it's going to be the way it is your life.
Yep.
Might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's living his life through us every day.
Yeah. My life's always been fun and exciting. Never boring.
Yeah, I know it says we live once and then we die and that's it, right? But I feel like sometimes I've had so many experiences, like I feel like I've lived 3 lives in one.
Yeah.
I told somebody that the other day. I know it sounds really weird. I mean, poverty, I've had money, I went in the military, I was a trucker, I drove across the country for 2 years. But I feel like I've lived so much, totally rich in the last, especially now when I look back, I just go, my God, so much has happened.
Yeah. Me too.
So you side chatters, feel free to type in the phrase, "My opinion matters." Go ahead and do it now. Maybe we'll believe you.
My opinion matters to me. It's how I understand. It's how I understand shit. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I understand it.
I don't think you're wrong at all.
Hey, I've been waiting for my son to show up, and he's now messaging me, so I'm going to take off. I love y'all. Take care.
Kate, it's good to see you again, brother.
Same.
See you, Kate.
God bless. God bless. Just the 3 of us. We can make it if we try. Just the 3 of us.
Hey, Dale, this is Ace. Remember me?
Mm-hmm. I'm not catching the point of that. Sorry.
It's just ridiculous. That's all.
Oh, okay.
The context is ridiculous.
Ace.
Yes, so only one person said my opinion matters. Okay.
to me.
Yeah, to me.
I mean,
it's guess who?
What else? What else do I got? But
exactly
what I
what
think.
Sean said. Bless you, guess who? I'm glad you're in here, brother. I'm glad I didn't hang out with the difference of opinion last night. I had to go because it was getting kind of heated. I was getting worried about your blood pressure, Brady.
Dale, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you came on and played those videos for us.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah, Dale, that was awesome. Thank you so much. What a great night.
And let's wind it up, boys and girls. I'll put the courtesy after show chat in here. And let's see, any parting words? Okay, I got some parting words. You ready? You have a right to be wrong. And you can borrow that phrase and say it to other people too. You have a right to be wrong. It's kind of a freeing phrase. Because if you allow somebody to be wrong, you'll get along with them much better. You have a right to be wrong. Yeah, what the hell do I care?
Aren't you suggesting that you're right though?
But what the hell do I care if I'm right? Is it really going to make any difference if I'm right and you're wrong?
Nope.
Well,
But I guess
if you're discussing a matter, you're trying to hash something out. Yeah, you're trying to come to an agreement or see some truth or something.
So what's the greatest truth that we have just explored tonight? That you can take a piece of desert and turn it into something beautiful.
Yeah.
With a shovel and a pick, of course. You need some tools.
And a lifetime of work.
Yeah.
Ooh, dude.
So thanks for joining me. Be sure and give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share this episode because somebody might be helped by it. Grace to you. Exit stage right.